All right. Just for funsies, here we are. No moo? Moo. Hi. Let's see. Today's just a bonus day. Hi, everyone. Bible Guy here, coming at you live from Northeast Texas. Ooh, and I just got a reminder today why I do not like to eat Taco Bell. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. What, baby? What do you want, baby? You get excited. Yeah, no one's expecting me to be live today, so it might be a little bit slow today, considering that this is an off day for me. Yeah, just sit right there, lay down for a little bit. I don't know how long we'll be live today. Maybe it'll be an hour, maybe it'll be 2 hours. We'll see. My necklace is all sorts of fucked up right now. I'm trying to figure it out. Oh, I turned it into a bow tie. All right. Warmest Disdain says, hi, hey. I see you changed your name. Hi, Calcifer. Let's see. Oh, where'd my guest box go? There you are. Boop. All right. Let's see. Declan James, hi. How you doing? How you doing? Did Tam just get banned? I walked away for 1 second and the light. No, she had to. She just had to. She had to go. But hello, Miss Casey. Good to see you here. Wins a win says yay. Yay indeed. All right. Clorox. Clorox, I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we can get to the conversation at hand. Oh, are they here? They look like they just disappeared. Oh well. James Kick who says, aloha, brother. I'm a big fan. Aloha, brother. God damn, this thing is hard to figure out. Hello, Ashley. Yeah, we're just live. Oh, fuck, I've did it. Hey, Cam. So yeah, guys, this is my necklace. Look at this cool ass necklace. It is a phylogenetic tree, which represents like the interconnectivity of all biological organisms, and how we're all related to each other, whether we be plant or animal or anything like that. So, which is really cool. A lot cooler than wearing a cross, I gotta say. I don't like the name Clorox. Why not? When is Ashlyn coming back? She was here yesterday. Fancy seeing you here too, Cam. Long time no see. I feel like I haven't seen you in a million years. Let's see. By the way, guys, I had a guest yesterday tell me that that Kim Jong-un was just for having his a traitor of the state's son and grandson tortured for their grandfather's wrongdoings. Crazy, right? Do you have a job or do you just do this? This is my job. I get paid to do this, which is nice. I get paid to be a fucking Bible nerd, you know? Fantastic. Kim Jong-un is just generational punishment is just, that's insane. Yeah, that's what they were saying. You know, it's funny. I get a lot of Christians who get angry about the fact that I get paid to talk about the Bible, but isn't that what pastors do? All right, we got Joel here. Joel, I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we can get to the conversation. Are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
And what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And are you a Christian or some sort of theist?
I am some sort of theist.
Okay, what sort of theist are you?
Like I'd say, do you know what theistic essentialism is?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm that, but you don't know what it is, so.
What is it?
It's like a modern form of deism.
Oh, okay. Which one of the 7 points on the board would you like to give me an answer for?
Um, I guess the sixth one.
Okay, is God good?
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right. Why do you think that?
Based on my definition of good, I'd say so.
Okay, why?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like it's just gonna be like good I take to mean like acting like in accordance with like what's best for society, I guess.
This God of yours acts in accordance with the best of society?
Yeah, I'd say so.
How do we know that?
How do we know that?
Yeah, how do we
Because
know if you don't have a specifically if you don't even have a like a holy book or anything like that? How do we know anything about what your God does?
well, I mean because he's like the most good conceivable being we can think of, or the
Why?
maximally good. Like it would be against his nature not to be good.
How do you know he's maximally good?
Uh like what do you like how do I know? Like what do you mean?
Yeah, like why do you believe that as opposed to him being just like an evil being? How do you know he's not just good but maximally good?
Yeah, so we can kind of look at it like a couple ways, right? So I mean,
If you leave the screen, I won't be able to hear you. Hello, Joel? Jolene, Jolene, Jolene. I'm begging you, come back to the screen. Joel. Oh, all right. Well, all right. I guess we'll move on. All right. Stunlock. Stunlock, I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions and then we can get to the conversation. Are you at least 18 years old?
Yep.
And question number 2, what pronouns do you go by?
Oh, I don't believe in pronouns. That's
You
just
don't,
trash.
could you say that without using pronouns?
Yeah, that's just trash. Can you say Christ is Lord?
No.
Oh, why? You don't believe in that? Because it's
No.
so. Why are you asking me to? Why are you asking
Well,
me to conform to something I believe in?
so the rules of the live is you have to answer the 3 preliminary questions or you don't get to talk to me. It's that simple.
Wait. Oh, wait a minute. I think those rules are trash. So just say Christ is.
Nope. Last chance. What pronouns do you go by?
Oh yeah, you can tell what I am, bro.
Yeah, I could already tell it was going to be a bad conversation. No, thank you. Anyone who names themselves Stunlock, ew. Oh, man. They're such babies when it comes to pronouns, you know? Like, Christian men are, and he was definitely a Christian man, such snowflakes, you know? I don't need you here, Stunlock. This is my off day. I'm just doing this for fun today. Stunlock was a feisty lady. uh, oh, man, that was funny. How's everyone doing today? Oh yeah, today's like Good Friday, isn't it? I forgot about that. Like everyone focuses on Easter, but no one really gives a fuck about Good Friday. Also, why is it called Good Friday? I mean, I guess they think it's good that Jesus died. I suppose that's what they mean. I can't help noticing there aren't stickers on this holiest of days. Oh yes. Wait, I have stickers. Why don't they show up on TikTok? I'm pretty sure I have stickers made for TikTok. Let's take a look. I made stickers like a long time ago, and I used to have stickers, and I think I saw them recently. Question is, um, why aren't you able to use them? Content preferences. Oh, the question is, where the hell would I find that stuff at on my settings? That guy's going to disappoint so many women. Ain't that the truth? There are 2 superfan stickers. Yeah, but I made like a bunch of them. Security and permissions, share profile, accessibility. Lay, do you know where this would be in my settings? Hi Velvet, good to see you. Account. Let's go to account. Account information, password, verification. Nope, not in the setting. Privacy? No. Security and permissions, your notifications, live. Oh, maybe it'd be under live. No, it's not. Activity center? Watch history, account history, screen time, reuse content. No, it's not that either. Fuck. Kind of annoying. There needs to be like a little search bar thing here so I can find this shit easier, you know? Hi, people on the YouTube side of things. It's good to see you guys here too. And let's open up the TikTok live chat as well so I can see your beautiful faces over there as well. Let's see. I'm gonna have Jolene stuck in my head for the rest of the day now. Here, we'll go to my TikTok on my
I don't think.
Let's see. On my computer, and maybe we can find the stickers there and figure out why they're not showing up. Let's see. Settings and growth tools. Yes, that would be the live center. There we go. Happy funny Friday. Hey, hell yeah. Let's see. Analytics, real-time performance, live recordings, live rewards, live rewards? No, fan club. There's a couple people in my fan club. Holy hell. Neuro Spicy Cat Lady, Mr. Zeke79, Kizak, Chopperly, Miss Casey1, and Dipster. Look at all you people here in my fan club. Help Center? Yes. Stickers. I'm gonna have to watch a fucking YouTube video on this later for sure. But everyone, make sure you tap that screen, share the live with those you love, with those you hate, with your friends and with your enemies. Hopefully we can get some opposition up to hang out and talk with us. And until then, if you're friendly, you'd like to come up and hang out or ask some questions or just like give input or whatever, you're more than welcome also to come up and just hang out. Let's see. Video. Ninja. Make sure the video ninja's up so that people can call in from the YouTube side. Fantastic. I didn't realize it was such a thing to turn them on. I don't know if it is because I know I've got like a little devil one in there. I got one of Yahweh. I've got a few different stickers that I made like a long time ago, like 2024, I think, and I put them up there. It's on your profile. It's on my profile. TikTok Studio. Okay, we might be somewhere now. Fan club. Oh, there they are. Oh, there's two. There's the buff Jesus and the little devil. But is that, are you, if you're like in there right now, if you're part of the, apparently it's more super, it's, you have to be a super fan to use the sticker. So if you're a super fan, Let me see Buff Jesus and the little cute devil in the TikTok comment section, so I can see that the stickers are working. Ooh, it looks like we have a super chat. Let's take a look. I think I'll use a sexy girly voice today here. And I'll read this somewhat seductively. I don't know.
At Boston 316 says, with the $9.99, Leviticus 26 verse 1. When did the cross as a symbol of Christianity start to be used and accepted? Hope this helps you move out of the boonies. Also, any possible collabs with archaeologist YouTubers?
Dipster says no audio? What do you mean? What do you mean no audio? Any chance to do stuff with archaeologists? Okay, you all heard me, it's good. Yeah, I just don't like, if anyone can get in contact with Indiana Jones, I'd like to really know why he thinks everything belongs in a museum. But on the real though, I don't know any. Are there any archaeologists TikTokers, or I don't know any, to be fair. Maybe I can get Israel Finkelstein to come up here. Din Din Mushy says hi everyone. Hi Din Din Mushy. Archeol Wolf is great. They do archaeology. Archaeology is a really cool discipline. Also, why'd you put Leviticus 26 verse 1? Let's see what it says. Leviticus 26. You shall make for yourself no idols and erect no carved images or pillars, and you shall not place figures. Oh, like don't have idols, and yet why do Christians have crosses? That's because under the definition of what is like considered an idol specifically is an image of a deity that is worshipped as a god. And because Christians don't necessarily worship the cross, they just revere it, they don't worship it. That's why it doesn't count as an idol. So Leviticus 26 doesn't really break the doesn't really get rid of the idea of the usage of idols. I have a lovely antique crucifix collection. I have a crucifix from my Catholic days. I have a box of a bag of Catholic paraphernalia from back in my Catholic days. Let me see if I can find it and show you guys. 1 second. Yeah, here we are. Got myself a baggie of all my Catholic shit. Let's see, including one crucifix that is broken on the top. Some cross thing with the dove with confirmed in Christ from my confirmation when I was Catholic. Let's see. I guess this counts as a crucifix, although it's like it's like flat, so it's like a relief. Let's see. I don't remember. I don't know who made this from me, but it's got a line on it. Dominus pars hereditatus mea et calicias me tues qui restitues hereditatem meum mihi, which is Psalm 15 verse 5 in Latin. Let's see. We got anything interesting here to show you guys? Oh, yeah, I got a rosary from back in the day. I actually have a couple rosaries. Let's see. This one has tape around the bottom because I used the fuck out of it. This was my first rosary back in the day. Do you have any advice for me? I've been challenging a lot more Muslims as an atheist, and I kind of what? Want to come up with new points. Do you have any that you could share with me against Muslims? I usually just one of the ones I often bring up is the fact that the author of the Quran doesn't seem to know or gets mistaken who Miriam is, because there are two Miriams in the Bible. There's Miriam, the sister of Moses, and then also Jesus's mom, Mary. Her name was actually Miriam. And the author of the Quran, at one point in Surah 19, actually confuses the two of them and refers to Jesus's mother, Miriam, as the sister of Aaron, which was Moses's brother. This is actually an Orthodox chotki, is what it's called, for praying the Jesus prayer. Another rosary that got well used. I told you guys I used to pray the rosary like multiple times a day. Like I was very serious about it. Ooh, this is a Saint Michael rosary that it's basically this is what like soldiers would use in World War II, basically, as their rosary. It's got Saint Michael the Archangel on it, and Padre Colby Maximus, who's a saint from the Holocaust. Were you Catholic, brother? I was Catholic at one point. Declan says, of course you have a choke key. Me too. I have two of them, actually. This was my the rosary I received at my confirmation when I was Catholic. This is my Saint Thomas Aquinas. Quran actually calls her daughter of Imran too. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. That's crazy. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
At Game Master Flash with the $5. I just want to use a rosary. My girlfriend and I have a very different use for the beads than the Catholic one, I imagine.
Hell yeah, you do. So the way that rosaries work, it's been so long. So basically, the purpose of the rosary is you have the beads on the rosary are meant for counting your prayers. So when Catholics pray, they say the Nicene Creed, and then they pray. Man, what I know these three are the Hail Marys, and then Our Father on this bead, and then you every one of these 10 beads, which are called decades, because there's 10 of them. You pray one Hail Mary on each of these. Then you pray the Our Father. Then you pray what's called the Jesus prayer, the Fatima prayer, and then you pray the Our Father again, and then you just repeat that. While also on each like decade of the rosary, depending on what day of the week it is, you have to like concentrate on like different what are called mysteries of the rosary, which are basically reflections on stories from Jesus' life in the Gospels. What else do we got here? Another chot. Oh, wait, this is another chotki, a very bigger, longer one. This was a crucifix necklace, but it looks like little Jeebus fell off of it. Oh, and there he is. Wow, look at that. He finally got off. How the irony. So there's a little Jeebus, and then here's his fancy cross. Gee whiz. Another crucifix necklace I used to have. Actually, in fact, this necklace, this like crucifix went to this rope necklace, you can see, but I've replaced it with the phylogenetic tree of life. Irony, you know. He finally got off. Is crazy. And then I have both a pen, the and a rosary that are when I was a member of the Knights of Columbus. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Knights of Columbus, horrible name. I had reservations about it even when I was Catholic. The Knights of Columbus are like a charity organization in the church. But I was like a card-carrying member of the Knights of Columbus for a little bit. And then one last thing in here is another pendant, which is a Star of David with a cross in it. Yeah. So that's all my Catholic shit. You can tell I spent quite a bit of time as a Catholic praying and stuff like that. Oh yeah, it's still going. How long were you Catholic? You sure moved fast. I don't know how long I was Catholic. A couple years. But you know what? I would I still got other shit out here I forgot to put up. I would much rather have those new other kind of beads rather than like I would love to have some anal beads over the prayer beads now, you know. I should have spent money on that shit. I had another. Did I put all? Oh yeah, it's in there. All right. I'll watch what I missed on YouTube. All right. We got another super chat here.
I had Austin 316 in the $4.99. Some archaeology / anthropology YouTubers, Stephen Milo, Dig It with Raven, History with Kaylee, they have legit degrees and are not wankers. Why should...
There is an archaeologist I know on YouTube, Milo Rossi. I really love Milo Rossi, and if I ever got to collab with Milo Rossi, that would be fantastic. Let's see. I'm sure they make anal bead rosaries. Hell yeah, for all those lonely nuns out there. Am I right? Why do Catholics not label Catholics as other? Why do Christians not label Catholics as other Christians? Oh, I mean, it's because the reason is because there's like a lot of beef between Protestantism and Catholicism, and because a lot of Catholics are like high and mighty and think that they're like the, you know, they have this delusion that their particular version of Christianity, which didn't exist until like 500 years ago, is the original true form of Christianity. So that and then they start getting uppity about, oh, Catholics aren't true Christians, even though like technically, while the original Christians were not Catholics, Catholicism and Orthodox Christians are like the oldest surviving sects of Christianity to this day. Do you consider Mormons Christians? Yeah, because Mormons believe Jesus was the Messiah and the Son of God, which for me, that's like I have a very low bar for who I would consider a Christian. You have to at least hold to those two things, and then for me, you'd be a Christian. And I don't care whether or not Christians think other Christians are not Christians. Like, who gives a shit about the infighting? Do you have a good refutation to the supposed Christ prophecies? So many, man. I talk, and as you can see, number 1 on the convince me board is Jesus the Messiah, and trust me, it's like my number 1 topic that I could go on for days, because like Jesus didn't fulfill a single prophecy. Mostly it has to do with being able to read the prophecies in their original historical and linguistic context. When I argue with Protestants that LDS and JW are Christians, I know the thing about being a Christian is you have to like follow the no true Scotsman fallacy. And you have to think every other Christian is not a true Christian, and I'm the true Christian. Various sect within the cult argue over who is superstitioning correctly. Yeah, that is correct. Accurate. Christian Science, also a Christian sect. Oh, here's a good one. At girly girl with the $2. What do you think of the movie Dogma?
What do you think of the movie Dogma?
Dogma is hilarious. It's what's really interesting about the movie Dogma is that it features a character that doesn't get talked a lot about within Christianity, and that is the Metatron, well, played by Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman plays the Metatron in Dogma. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Metatron is an angel who is basically God's voice and representative to mortals. It's quite prominent within certain works of ancient Judaism. Also, if I remember correctly, one of the names of one of the angels in that movie was Loki, so they're taking pagan god names and then just throwing them onto angels, which I thought was really funny. The great Alan Rickman, the great Alan Rickman. Turn to page 342. I prefer the supernatural Metatron. I mean, the supernatural Metatron, Marv, is also somewhat like the fact that Metatron in that show tries to basically become God is actually quite funny, since that in the original like works about the Metatron, one of the titles of the Metatron was the Lesser Yahweh, because the Metatron was seen as like a mirror image of Yahweh. And fun fact, even though Metatron in Supernatural was always an angel and then becomes a human in the show at one point, spoiler alert, in the mythology, it's the reverse, that the Metatron angel was originally a human, specifically the prophet Enoch, and Enoch gets elevated and deified and becomes the Metatron in the second and third Enoch. I love how Soup Metatron was obsessed with human literature. Yeah, it's a well-written character. I like him a lot. I like that he, at least on like the very last episode he was ever in, he got like a little tiny bit of a redemption arc. You need an Alan Rickman voice. I'll just have to work on my impression, I guess. I don't know if I can. Maybe I'll look and see if there's an Alan Rickman voice somewhere on here. While we're on the subject, I'd highly recommend the book/show Good Omens. I have watched both season 1 and season 2 of Good Omens, and I have the audiobook, and I haven't gotten to listen to it yet. Good Omens is great though. Met Crowley and Aziraphale, cute couple, you know. Get behind me, fiend. After you. Oh, all right. Let's see. Looks like we're not getting a lot of biters today. No Christians who are willing to come up and defend the faith. Kind of crazy. If you are out there right now, there's 64 of you watching right now. If you're a Christian and you'd like to give me an answer for one of the 7 points on the board, you're more than welcome to come up and and give me an answer. These are genuine questions. I want to know if these questions are true or false, you know? Have you watched The Righteous Gemstones? It's hilarious. I have not. All right, we got Lil Pope, the third ESQ. Lil Pope. I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we'll get to the conversation.
All right.
I'm pretty sure we've spoken before, haven't we?
We absolutely have, yeah, but I'm happy to have a longer conversation if you have time and space.
Yeah, you are at least 18 years old. Your pronouns are?
Correct. He, him, and they.
And what was your Christian or non-Christian?
Agnostic, formerly charismatic Christian, that did go to ministry school in the charismatic movement.
Hell yeah. What brings you up, Lil Pope?
I didn't know if you were interested in talking, because these questions, I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, have you been paying attention to anything happening in the charismatic movement recently?
No, I stopped paying attention to what, like, the inner politics of like denominations a long time ago. Why? What's going on?
Well, I'm also off today, so I'm scrolling around. But no, I do love your content. So if you need more of a thing to bring to the table with Christians, especially that bring up the supernatural, There's a lot happening with Mike Winger, who is still a charismatic, but is exposing a lot of the leaders in the charismatic movement.
Yeah, I know
Julie
Mike.
Royce of the Royce Report has been on this from day one and paying attention. But yeah, so you know Mike Winger
Yeah.
then. Okay, like, do you know him personally, or you just seen his videos? Like,
No,
I have?
yeah, I only know of him. I've never met him. I haven't met him yet. I didn't know. I didn't even know. I didn't even know he was a member of the charismatic movement specifically. I've just seen a few of his apologetic videos.
Yeah, he is. He's been helping to bring to light a lot of the different issues happening with specifically Bethel Church in Redding, California.
Oh,
Exposing. He started with Sean Bowles, and then it's kind of unraveled from there. And I was in the movement where Bethel was. And if you know Morningstar, that's what I was actively a part of for a lot of my young adult life.
I jokingly sometimes refer to it as the Bethel School of Witchcraft and Wizardry because it's like Hogwarts for Christians.
No, it literally is. I went to a version of that, but with a ministry that actually predates Bethel music and helped to be the inspiration for a lot of the big Bethel musicians that ended up coming out. Morningstar Ministries in Fort Mill, South Carolina, headed by Rick Joyner, is what I was a part of. And, Mike Winger has been really good about not only bringing the stuff with Sean Bowles to light, but people like Chris Reed. And I think it's important because I often see believers making a lot of claims about the supernatural, but then, with these people being brought to light, it's clear that they were lying from the get-go. Sean Bowles, particularly, you can follow somebody on TikTok named Jubilee Dawn that tells her story of being in Bethel. Used his phone and would pull information off Facebook for prophecy, and it got exposed.
This is some Peter Popoff shit right there.
It quite literally, it is such Peter Popoff shit. It's hilarious. To see now, because I had a friend when I was a part of it that said the same thing, and I was like, no, no, no. And then years later, it's come out. But I say this to say, I think, when I was a firm believer in the Bible, all of your questions I probably would have answered, yes to God being good, yes, Jesus being the Messiah, yes, the Bible is true, all of it. The thing that I'm seeing now is all of this exposure happening, and I have to wonder where people stand with the supernatural in Christianity now. It's kind of a niche thing considering, but yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, Peter Popoff was well, still is because he's still operating on some level, but a con artist who fashioned himself as like a faith healer, and he would actually, like, for example, have people fill out cards and then have his wife read the cards to him in an earpiece so that it looked like he had like a word of knowledge or something like that, so that he could like make it look like as if he was a prophet or something like that. And I think it was it Randy Newman or Randy, the great Randy,
James Randi,
the great James Randi, not Randy Newman, the great James Randi actually like exposed him. Like they had tuned into the frequency of his mic and exposed him live. It was so good.
No, it was great, and I feel like between Peter Popoff and then there's another guy that's still active today as well. I being in the movement with the supernatural being one of the heaviest emphases in the movement. It's kind of interesting now as somebody that's left Christianity completely, tried to hang on to Christianity for a while and just said, I can't do this anymore. To see this finally being exposed. And I feel like if more Christians would actually take the time to sit back and look at the various leaders, because the charismatics are sort of a one-off and Christians doing bad things, because before that we had the Catholics and the scandal with the Catholic Church. We also had the Southern Baptist Convention, which had 700 documented cases of SA and assault, where these people have continued in it. And I would ask any Christian. I saw a comment that said, well, that doesn't disprove the supernatural. The hard thing with the supernatural is, how do we prove it in the first place? Where do we find the existence of God in the first place to show that God is even acting? And if we can do that, what is this God that we've even proven? It's just not viable.
It's funny. I grew up in a charismatic church, and for anyone who doesn't know, there's a trick that some faith healers like to employ to make it look like they're performing a miracle. And my father was the subject of one of these. I would call it scams. My pastor. One day, my dad had these back problems, and so we go to our pastor, and he has my dad sit down on a chair, and he pulls out his legs and goes, "Well, look at that. One of your legs is longer than the other. That's why you have these." And so they pray, and then we watch as the feet are miraculously brought to the same level. And the reality, you just have to pull on their leg just a little bit in their shoe, and then it makes it even. But it seems so simple now, but at the time, we thought this was some great miracle that my pastor was performing. I don't know if my pastor was aware of what he was doing or not, or if he just was falling in line. But either way, it's yeah, literally pulling his leg.
No, he literally, because Todd White, who just got exposed by Mike Winger and Julie Royce, is notorious for this. Yeah,
Man.
no, if you're looking to kind of see where the leg lengthening trick ran off to, you can definitely follow Todd White and look at the exposure. But yeah, this is a trick that has been disproven multiple times, along with typically the charismatic playbook, which James Randi actually helped to set up somebody as a charismatic person, get them to go out on the street, do evangelism, and bring people to a church service, just to show how false this can be.
It's crazy because when I was a kid, I wanted to be just like Todd White because of the type of Christianity I grew up in. I thought he was so cool, and now not only is he not cool, but there's that one video circulating where he's talking about how God is with us when we're masturbating and when we're orgasming. I wish you would, and God says, "I wish I could be your orgasm." It's so good. No, I wish I could be your climax is why he says, God says. It's so funny. I wonder if we'll find that clip.
It's great because it's just this fun idea of this deity that is supposed to be watching the whole universe and being this just deity, causing healings, doing all this, being so interested in you that he will literally watch you masturbate. That seems pretty gay. So I'm gonna say God is gay if God exists, because that's a pretty gay thing to do if God is identifying as he.
All of the Christians I talk to think that using pronouns is gay, and I often point out that God says I am he, so by extension God must be gay. But here's a let me see if I can find it. I got a video here for y'all guys to see exactly what I'm talking about. This is a video of Todd White. Let's see, where's my there you are, and then pull up my YouTube. Here we go. This is Todd White, and that's what Toddy says. That's
Your whole pornography thing, you think like no one knows it? God's watching it with you.
I know I can't hear it up here.
He waits till you reach climax.
Oh, here.
God, if he only knew me.
Yeah, AKA white guy with dreads.
If he only desired to know me, I would be his climax.
And they starts crying. If only you could be his climax. So funny. Oh man.
So, I think if you're into a voyeurism fetish, you should be a Christian. Clearly.
Yeah. But
that's
Lil Pope, I do have another guest waiting to come up, but hey, thank you for
I'll drop down.
Thanks,
man.
Have a good day, bud.
You too.
All right, Eli. I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we'll get to the conversation.
Sure.
Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah.
Question number 2, what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And question number 3, are you a Christian or some sort of theist?
I'm a Christian.
All right. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Which one of the 7 questions on the board would you like to give me an answer for?
Is there justice within Christianity?
Yeah. Is there justice in Christianity?
Yeah.
How so?
I'll start off with Jesus' death and burial and resurrection.
I would say that the crucifixion is not justice.
Why would you say that?
because when it comes to justice, it's considered injustice when innocent people are punished and guilty people are like exonerated.
What do you mean by innocent people are punished?
When people who have done no crimes receive a punishment, we would say that that's injustice.
Okay, but that wouldn't be fall into my belief. So are you thinking of like a specific example of
Wait, Jesus wasn't innocent?
people being punished?
Jesus wasn't innocent?
Well, he willingly done this. This is why it's justice, because he willingly gave himself up.
Well, does that really make it justice? I mean, at best, we can say that makes Jesus a great guy, but it makes the judge who is pouring out the punishment on an innocent person unjust.
What do you mean? Within your example you gave is if there's two separate people, Jesus is still God. You do realize that, right?
No, he's not.
Okay, well, I mean, you wouldn't be Christian then, so.
I'm not Christian.
What I'm saying
and
is,
also
what you're arguing from, this is just a straw man argument.
And also, there are also Christians who don't accept the Trinity.
They would be heretical and wouldn't be. You can't judge the standard by an exception.
Heretical and orthodoxy mean nothing to me. That just means, well, they don't agree with like what the most powerful people in Christianity say is true.
Then it wouldn't be Christianity. Then it would be an offshoot. For example, if I said I'm atheist,
I would say that the original Christians didn't believe Jesus was Messiah, and so the ones who do believe he's that the original Christians don't believe Jesus was God, and therefore the Christians who believe he's God now would not be Christians.
What do you mean?
The original.
You said usual. Original. Who's the original?
The apostles. Paul never made the claim that Jesus was God.
I mean, I can easily argue against that, but that's besides the point. If there's justice within Christianity, yeah.
But also, the main problem of the crucifixion is that either a person will end up in hell for all eternity, which hell is by definition is unjust, or they get to go to heaven, but only if they believe, and belief isn't really a choice. So people are either
okay. I got a question about what you said earlier. I don't think you fully elaborated on that. You said innocent people, as in you did say plural, like in a plural form. So are you saying that?
I said injustice. When we talk about justice, like on a regular day-to-day basis, if you go to a court of law, if a judge punished a person who didn't commit a crime, we would say that's unjust. And because Jesus was innocent and he's being punished,
Jesus was done unjustly.
Yes.
Jesus was done unjustly.
Yes.
Well, I would disagree because of his obedience unto the cross and unto death, he was made. I mean, he was made right, or he was deified within that. So he done this, but he got a benefit out of it.
He was
Is
deified
that just if you do something,
cross?
or if something?
I thought you were Trinitarian.
We don't believe it's possible for him not to. We don't believe it's possible for him to disobey. If he did disobey under the hypothetical.
Eli, you made the claim that Jesus would be deified by the cross. That's, if you're a Trinitarian, that's not accurate.
Yeah.
What do you think deified means?
No, it would be accurate. I think you just don't understand.
No. What do you think deified means?
Deified can mean a lot, but in general, like being God-like or being likened unto God.
To be deified means to be made into a God-like, or made into a God, or made divine. So, like, for example,
I would still sort of agree with that, because within his human nature, when he took on human nature, he humbled himself.
But as a
am I correct? Did he not? Wait, according to my paradigm, according
to Trinitarian Orthodox Trinitarian,
that has nothing to do with.
According to Trinitarian theology, Jesus was always 100% man, 100% God. Even if he was like didn't act on it, he was already God.
Exactly. When I say he was deified,
so he couldn't be deified by the cross. He was already a God.
No, deification means so much, and you're just
no. It just means to be. It just means to be made into a God.
No, it does not. No,
yes, it does.
Give me
Yeah.
one definition.
You're just
Give me
saying
one definition.
I think what you're trying to say is
Give me
glorify.
one definition that shows that.
I think you're trying to say glorify that
Give
Jesus
me
was.
one definition.
I think
from
what you're
one,
trying to say
no.
is.
Give me
I
one
think what
definition.
I think what you're trying to say is.
You're misrepresenting my
I
belief.
think what you're trying to say is glorify. Jesus was glorified because of the cross.
Part of glorification. You do realize glorification is deification.
If you're a
understand that,
human,
right?
if you're a human, yeah. If you're not, if you're a
Oh,
God
so you're making
already.
a special exception for because of Jesus. All
No,
right.
because by definition, deification means to be
You're
made into a
special
God.
pleading at this point. Bro. No, it
Eli,
does not.
Eli, you need to take a breath.
No, it does not.
You need to take a breath, bud.
This is special pleading.
Eli, you don't know what special pleading is. No, deification
Can I
is.
can I show you what? Can I give you-
Deification, you need to stop talking over me. Deification is by definition being made into a God. You only humans, regular humans, regular humans can be made into gods. But gods.
Show me a dictionary that says that. That may be one definition, but it's definitely not the only definition.
Let's see. Find a definition of the. Let's see. Report abuse. Understand where is the definition at here? The act or instance of deifying, and deifying to make a god,
or to make like God.
Yeah, to make like God,
or to glorify. Glorification is a part of, or that's part of deification.
It can be deification if you're not already a god.
Wait.
No, Eli, I really could not care less about this conversation. Now, Eli, Eli, do you believe that injustice? Because we need to get back on the topic of justice. Injustice. Do you believe that punishment should fit the crime?
Punishment should fit the crime.
Yeah,
what do you mean by? What does it mean for a punishment to fit a crime?
That proportionality of justice. Like, for example, would it be just if, like, let's say you went to the supermarket and you stole an apple and you received the death penalty as a result?
Yeah, that would be unjust, of course.
Because it doesn't like weigh out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as a human being, am I a finite creature or an infinite creature?
As a human being, you're finite, of course.
And as a finite being, can I do things that are infinite in magnitude, or can I only perform acts that are finite in magnitude?
Of course you can't. You would never be able to perform an infinite magnitude of stuff.
I agree. So any crime I commit or any sin I commit can only have a magnitude that is finite. I can only commit crimes of finite magnitude. I can't commit crimes that have an infinite magnitude. Therefore, I cannot, by definition of justice, be deserving of any form of infinite punishment.
Well, I believe finite actions lead to infinite repercussions. For an example, almost like if you look at if you look at a graph, for example, pull up any graph, like let's say x squared or whatever. You look at the graph in a small area, in a finite area, but the graph goes on for infinite. So,
but I'm not a graph. But I'm not a graph, and I'm finite.
Yeah, dude, it's called an analogy. So think of your life like a graph.
It doesn't
because
work.
You could pitch your life into a graph. You do realize that, right?
But no, that doesn't work though. What act can I commit?
It does work. How does it not work? How is it not analogous?
What act can I commit that is infinite?
It's not the action itself. It's rather a multitude of actions that lead to infinite harm. Like, for example, if you allow yourself to become corrupted and you choose that and you make that choice and you would live with that choice unless something external changes that choice, then that's an infinite repercussion of a finite action.
So are you saying if someone's in hell and they repent, they can go to heaven?
Yeah, they're not repenting because they regret what they're doing. They're repenting because they regret the punishment.
No. Are you saying that people in hell can? Eli.
Yeah.
Are you saying that in hell people can repent and therefore they can get out of hell?
I don't believe they're genuinely repenting for what they've done.
So
instead,
do they not have free will still?
What do you mean? Do they have free will still?
Do you believe in free will? Are you a Christian who believes in free will?
I believe free will is you. I can't get. I don't. My definition of free will may be different than somebody else's, so I won't say loosely that I just believe in free will. I believe we have the right to make choices. Yeah.
And can a person in hell choose to repent of sin?
Yeah, they could choose to repent. They can choose, but what they think they're choosing may not be what they're actually doing. Because they had their life to choose, make that choice.
Why?
When they're in hell, you already made that choice.
Yes, but
And let's just say if they do,
no. Why
yeah.
can't they stop? And why is death the arbitrary cutoff?
Why is death the arbitrary cutoff?
Yes. Why can't a
I'm
person
not
who's in hell
all-knowing, so I
repent
wouldn't
of their
know.
sins and get out of hell?
I couldn't tell you exactly why death is the cutoff because I'm not all-knowing.
Because you made the
But
argument that a
why
person
can't
remains in
death
hell
be a
forever
cutoff?
because they keep.
Why
well,
can't death be
Eli,
a
stop. Can I do any act that is deserving of an infinite punishment? Eli, you muted yourself. Eli, you muted yourself. You need to hit the microphone button. All right. I don't know. I guess they gave up. Fenrir's son, I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and then we'll get to the conversation at hand. Fenrir's son, are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
And what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And are you a Christian or some sort of theist?
No, I'm a deconstructionist. If you have other people in the thing, I saw that there was nobody in the thing, so I wanted to just come up if you have the time.
Oh yeah, do you have like a question or something you'd like to discuss real quick?
Yeah, so I run my own lives, deconstructionist lives. Me and Godless have actually just talked yesterday. I asked Justin this question. I wanted to pose it to you too. In the panels you have gone into with other deconstructionists, what arguments are you really not a fan of that we use in terms of arguing Christianity?
Ooh, I know there's a couple. I don't like the argument that Numbers 5 is an argument for abortion, because it's not. I don't like that as an argument against for abortion. I think it's bad. I also don't like the argument that well, because Jesus was born of a virgin, he must be trans because he can only receive like all his chromosomes from Mary. I don't like that either, because it's like I'm allowing for the magic of virgin birth, but I'm not allowing for the magic of God giving him 23 non-female chromosomes. I think it's also not a very good argument.
I don't like the on the day you on the mot tamut line. I think that that's not actually a contradiction with regard to idiomatic expression and semantic range of on that day that you shall surely die.
I just used that one. Oops. What's your issue with that one?
It should be on that day you're condemned to die. That's how it's used throughout the rest of the text and how it's understood.
Oh,
generally.
okay, all right.
It's a condemnation.
Let me see. Was there anything else I'm not really a big fan of? The problem is I don't spend a lot of time on other shows because mostly unless they're like really good friends of mine, because it'll drive me insane listening to bad arguments from Christians all the time.
Well, you do it every day anyway.
I do it generally. I generally do it 4 days a week. Today I just got bored and decided to come up here and do this. But I try. It's a new thing of mine that I'm trying to not get on as many lives as I used to, because like I kind of like got into I had to take a whole week off just to recuperate.
I get you. I mean, I've learned a lot from you and from Justin. I only started doing lives myself after listening to you guys and watching your guys' channels. So mostly what I use are the arguments that I've heard you guys use exactly. Jesus hasn't done any of the prophecies. I do get into the moral argument quite a bit because I'm a social worker, and I've a lot of my training was in ethics and philosophy and politics and such. But but I try to keep to the arguments that I've heard from scholars rather than a lot of the other arguments. The ones that I still come across a lot that really annoy me are like the I forget what the exact term is, but that Facebook thing that went around where it's like, oh, Jesus is just a copy of like Horace and all these other deities.
I think me and Godless would probably really hardcore agree with this, that like there are good mythicist arguments, but there are also bad ones, and like there are a lot of like bad scholarship out there that gets it's popular because it sounds, because a lot of people will just grasp on anything that's like detrimental to Christianity. But when we start saying things like Horace had 12 disciples and stuff like that, like it's not a good look for us.
Yeah, I agree. Oh shit, I had a follow up to that. What is what when you hear bad arguments being used by other atheists, do you think it's prudent to cut them off during a live? Like, that's one thing I've like wondered in my own mind is like, should I be one of those people that are basically like, ah, shit, no, we can't, don't use that argument, stop.
It depends. If it's my live, I will, but if I'm on someone else's live, I won't.
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
If I make a dumbass argument, please stop me. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Will do, bud.
Yeah, I get you.
Oh man.
All right. Well, I didn't want to take up your time. I know most people come here to watch you cook, so I'll drop back down. Love talking to you. Godless, it was good seeing you again, brother. Follow me if you guys want some. I take the late night shift. I start at like 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Good.
So.
Fantastic.
I'm the night shift.
I'm getting ready for bed at that point nowadays. So that's good to know that it's nice to know there are so many deconstruction people out there that there's always someone to watch at any point of the day. It's good.
Yeah, we try our best. All right, guys, be safe. Good luck.
See ya, Fenrir.
John and Rav, good to see you both here. JJ says, yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
JJ says, what does numbers 5 mean when it says that her womb shall discharge, drop, blush, fall? Most scholars think that this is referring to the fact that, like, not that she, because it never says that she is pregnant. But it's like this, but yet this is used for every single woman allegedly who commits adultery. So most scholars would say that this is about what we call making her infertile, so she cannot have children in the future. You want to say something, John?
Oh yeah, so Lathe had just sent up the GE signal, and because you were wanting to find the stickers to add stickers.
I found them. I already found them.
We did.
Yeah, I just need to, now that I know where they're at, I need to add them. I have 2 apparently. So there you go. Yeah, you're good, Lathe.
Okay, if you need help making them, I mean, I can help make them if you need.
Oh, I'm. I actually, I don't know if you know this, Godless. I'm actually an artist of sorts.
Okay.
Yeah, here, one second. Let me see if I can pull up my so you can see for yourself. Let me see, iPad. Oh, that is way too big. 1 second, let me fix that. Holy hell. Make that a lot smaller over here. Gee whiz. What the hell I was doing to make to have a big ass there we go. And then on YouTube, so for you guys, let me fix it. And then there we go. All right, let's see. Yeah, like this is one of my works that I've been working on. I haven't worked on it in a couple weeks though. But I'm drawing a picture of Samson, obviously incomplete because he's a big bald boy right now.
Yeah.
But he's missing the most important part.
Yeah, he's missing the most important. I'm really leaning heavily into like the fantasy aspect of it, so it's not like strictly like biblical. It's not going to be strictly biblically accurate. It's going to be like Samson through the lens of fantasy genre.
You gotta have him walking away from a donkey carcass with like bees flying around it, and, like holding the jawbone.
These poles in his hand are stand-ins until I'm going to give him 2 really cool like axes that are made out of donkey jawbones.
Nice.
That'd be cool. I'm somewhat of an artist myself. I actually I can play the banjolele. You want to hear one of my songs?
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, here we go. I get nailed down. I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
They say art is subjective. But you know what? Good for you, bud.
It's the song of an angel, I'm telling you.
You know, I believe
Ono's gonna sign you.
You know, the biblically accurate angel, but an angel nonetheless.
There you go. How long have we been live so far? I've been live for like an hour. I think I'm going to do a quick restart on TikTok. That way we can get some fresh ops in here. And we're not going to go live for the full 3 hours today, guys. Probably for like another 30 minutes to an hour, depending on whether or not we get any opposition, because this is just me doing this for funsies today, and I got to take the dogs out in a little bit. So I'm just going to do a quick restart on TikTok, and I'll see you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to go live here in a minute too. So
all right, everyone,
we'll be competing for ops.
Everyone, make sure you go check out Godless after I'm over. All right. Bye.
Bye.
I love that guy. Let's see. Go live. There we go. Back online. And we got another super chat.
At Zach Petrov for the $10. Judas had a point. He watched Jesus turn water into wine and multiply fish and bread. Then at the Last Supper, Jesus just skips out on the bill. A bill that was much higher than 30 silver, by the way.
You know what? That's valid. Judas, I'd be pissed too if someone skipped out on the bill like that. Let me move the supers up a little bit higher. Oh, here we go. Boop. All right. And then
I had Adam and Eve at House 70 with the $10. Adam/Eve pissed at the snake because it didn't point out the tree of eternal life first.
I know, like if the snake would have just said, "Here, take a look at this tree first." Well, you know, that would have been a lot better off for them, I suppose. It's funny. Alternate history. Someone needs to make. Ooh, wouldn't that sell? You know, like they make those what if Marvel comics. What if someone did a what if Bible stories?
What is a what if?
Oh, like oh wait, am I still the voice still on? No, it's not. A what if would be like they'll do what if Tony Stark didn't get captured by the 10 rings? Like how would things have played out differently? So they're like alternate universes where you change one little factor of the story at one point and then it branches off into like a new timeline with a new like different outcomes. Okay. So like in the Bible wise, like what would have happened if X, Y, and Z would have happened instead of A, B, and C, and then how it would have played out differently. What if Jesus would have said yes to Satan, like I will bow down and all this kind of stuff? Or what if Jesus would have showed himself to the Pharisees and the Romans after the crucifixion? Like fun what if stories like that.
Or what if Amalek would not have made it? What if Saul would have
been a good king?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Zach, I'm gonna ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we'll get to the conversation at hand. Question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
Yes, I am.
Question number 2: what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And question number 3: are you a Christian or some sort of theist?
Yeah, Christian.
All right, I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Which one of the, in fact, actually, number 6 and 7, we've been talking about them way too much for the past 2 days. So, which one of the first 5 questions would you like to give me an answer for?
Dang. All right, I want to do 6.
I don't know
Let's
why
do
Christians. Why no Christians whenever we want to talk about the Bible?
Oh, well, we can talk about the Bible. Is number 1 an internal critique, or what is that about?
Yeah, it's like, was Jesus like is Jesus the Messiah?
Like according to the Old Testament or the New Testament? Like what? According to what?
Like did he fulfill prophecies from the Old Testament?
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
All right. What prophecies do you think Jesus did fulfill? Can you just start with one and just start with your best example?
Isaiah 53.
Okay, why should I think Isaiah 53? Oh, actually, first question is Isaiah 53 the first time that the servant is mentioned in this section of Isaiah?
You said the servant. That'd be incorrect. There's multiple servants mentioned in Isaiah.
I'm not convinced.
So it's a false premise in the question. Convinced of what? There's multiple different types of servants mentioned.
Why should I think there are more than one servant in Deutero-Isaiah?
Because it's explicitly stated. Let me pull up the list for you.
JJ says, what if David only collected 99 foreskins?
So in Isaiah 41, it refers to Jacob, not specifically the nation. As it refers to, as well as Isaiah as being the servant, Eliakim being a servant.
Yeah, they're all part. They're all part of.
There's like the remnant.
The prophet, who is like a member of the righteous remnant, is part of it. Is called the servant because he's part of the righteous remnant, who is the servant.
No, so the servant is going to refer to a singular in certain cases. So it wouldn't. Then you're just saying that the servant is.
Well, I mean,
not
I guess
a rigid designator, so then there's no reason to disqualify Jesus from that.
I guess in the case of Isaiah 49, it's in the singular because it's referring to the prophet who is writing, but the prophet belongs to the righteous remnant, who is the servant.
So you're going to have to justify why calling the single person servant is referring also to the righteous remnant. So like in Isaiah 49, you bring up a good example because it says he's going to bring Jacob back to him and gather Israel to himself, meaning this is
that's
especially separate from the nation.
Yeah, that's the job of the prophet who's a member of the righteous remnant.
Right, so the servant's going to be referring to a singular person.
Yeah, the prophet who's writing this section. Yeah, the prophet who's a member. It's referring to the same servant because the prophet is a member of the righteous remnant.
Okay, so can we say the same about Isaiah 53? It's a singular prophet?
No, because it uses the word lamo to refer to the servant at one point in Isaiah 53, and lamo is plural.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, Isaiah 53 verse 8 ends with the words mi pesha ami nega lamo, which means because of the transgressions of my people, the affliction was to them.
I'm not sure I see it quite yet. Can you be
here? Let me help you out. But before we go to Isaiah 53 verse 8, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you how even in your Bible, lamo is translated correctly elsewhere. So could you turn with me to Psalm chapter 2 verse 4?
Use my physical Bible for this one. Yep.
And what does Psalm 2:4 say in your Bible?
The one enthroned in heaven laughs, the Lord scoffs at them.
All right, you want to see what the word for them is in the text?
You're going to say lamo?
Yeah, let's take a look. Psalm chapter 2 verse 4. The word for them is highlighted. You can see it on the screen.
Okay.
That's the word lamo, spelled lamed, mem, vav, lamo, to them. Turn to Psalm 99 verse 7.
Wait, before you go to, why don't you look at 2:7 also? Psalms 2:7.
Oh, it's on
the
Oh, Psalms 2:7 has the them as well.
No, I'm saying, it's saying that David is the begotten son.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a second if he wants to bring up by Psalm 2:7. But Psalm 99 verse 7. What does it say in your Bible, guest?
99 verse 7. He spoke to them from a pillar of cloud. They kept his statutes and the decrees he gave them.
And the word for them you can see here in the Hebrew is, again, lamo, correct?
Okay.
All right, so when I go to Isaiah 53, and I go to verse 8 specifically, and the last 4 words are mipesha, ami, nega, lamo. And what does lamo mean?
So I'm looking at the Hebrew Bible. I just don't see that word.
The Strong's Concordance doesn't have an entry for lamo. And also you shouldn't use the Strong's Concordance. I could show you the entry for lamo from the Klein dictionary, which is a Hebrew dictionary.
I want to see what this word actually is.
Yeah, here. Isaiah 53, go to verse 8, and I'll click on lamo so we can see the dictionary entry for lamo. Let's see. And we see here on the screen, let's see, lamo is inflected personal pronoun meaning to them. So it's in the plural.
So is it an independent word or is it like an additive or
It's an independent word. It means to them.
It's not a verb.
Yeah, it's
like 2 or 4.
Yeah.
Lamed means 2 or 4.
It's a pronoun in this case. Lamo. The lamed is the preposition, and lamo together is the pronoun meaning to them. It serves the same function as lahem. It's just that this is an older and very archaic poetic form of lahem.
Okay, I can see it on the parallel now. Perfect. Is that?
So Isaiah 53 refers to the servant as a them. The affliction was to them.
Okay, so let's actually look at this then, since I actually found it. Okay, by oppression and judgment he was taken away, yet who of his generation protested? And that's in the singular as well, when it says his and he at the beginning, yes.
Yeah, which is fine. You can refer to a collective of people in the singular. In fact, Israel is often referred to in the singular prophetically.
That's true. He was cut off from the land of the living for the transgression of my people. They were punished, you would say would be the correct translation. Instead of he was punished, they were punished.
Yes.
Okay, so the people were punished?
Yeah, the suffering servant was punished.
Well, how do you know this is the suffering servant if it changes from singular to plural? So even if I just say this is not, I could just say this is not referring to the servant. What does that change?
It's just a random person now that's being talked about in the middle.
No, it's the people that it says. My people.
Because of
the servant were punished.
Because of the transgression of my people, they were afflicted.
Yeah, that'd be referring to
and throughout Isaiah 53, who's the one who's afflicted?
Well, the servant's also afflicted, so are the people. Israel is trying to be wicked.
The people are the servant. Also, you do recognize that not all Israel are wicked, right?
The nation broadly.
Well, yeah, but there's also a righteous remnant within the nation, right?
Kind of.
And was this righteous remnant, did they go into exile and suffer in the exile along with the wicked of Israel, even though they had done no wrong?
I believe so.
So this is the servant of God who's done no wrong, and they suffered in the exile and because of the transgressions of others.
Israel
So
messed up?
again, you're just ignoring like the change. My chair does need WD-40. That's true. You're just adjusting the pronoun shifts. So you asked me for my pronoun at the beginning. So the pronoun shifts
That's fine.
in the passage, yet you're saying it's the same person that's being referred to.
Yeah,
What's the purpose of the pronoun shifting?
The person.
Where is the pronoun shifting?
It goes
From
from
he
the
to
singular
them.
he to a plural they. Yeah.
That's fine though. Like, you recognize that there are other places in the Bible where the nation of Israel is referred to as a he, correct? In the singular?
Is that related to what I just said?
Yes.
The point you think the point that I was making is that refers to a singular?
Yes, because the people of Israel
No,
are.
the point that I'm making is that
here,
it changes.
Yes, that's fine because the
If we
people
went
of
from
Israel.
she to he, I'm still going to point out that it changed. So can you address the change?
The point of the change is the people of Israel are a collective, correct?
Yep.
And you can refer to the collective both as a them and as a he, and both would be appropriate, correct?
Yep.
So there's nothing wrong with the prophet switching the usage of the pronoun.
No, because then you're switching reference.
No,
you have to show.
No.
Yeah. So you.
What was that, Rabbi?
The statement.
1 second, Zach. What, Rabbi? You're very faint.
Yeah. So this is what I want to ask. When I think of myself, let's just say I'm an American, and I think of myself as part of this collective America, and what I do to America or what my actions are, I can think of Americans as plural and America as a singular. And so the idea here is that it is a group of people who have done these transgressions against America or against God as a collective, meaning a singular, but also to be understood as Americans as well. In other words, Israel is both the Israel of the plural of the individuals that are creating the problems or doing the transgressions as this collective thing. And it is only the collective thing that is able to do to go through the process of teshuva, of returning, of redemption. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That there is a group of people that are both a collective and a plural at the same time. And it depends on how they're referring to themselves, about themselves within this story.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to address my contention here that in verse 8, if there's going to be a change
Why
in
can't
pronouns
the prophet change pronouns if both pronouns are appropriate?
Because we're referring to two different groups. We're referring to a singular referent and a plural referent. So if you're going to change pronouns from the singular to the plural, you're going to be referring to a separate.
That's not two different groups.
The servant is distinctly seperate from the entirety of Israel in this passage.
No.
Why
Let me repeat to you again.
Why do you think that?
Why was I muted?
Listen to what I said again.
Well, I heard what you said again, but you interrupted.
So the nation of Israel. Shut up. So the nation of Israel.
That's very rude.
I don't care. You're not listening.
Perfect.
So the nation
Maybe
of
we
Israel.
should talk about number 6 then.
No. So the nation of Israel are collective. You can refer to them, the collective, using both plural and singular pronouns. Both are perfectly acceptable for referring to the collective nation of Israel. You can refer to the collective nation of Israel as a he, and you can refer to the collective nation of Israel as a them. Both are appropriate. So the prophet switching from he to them, there's nothing wrong with that because both are appropriate when referring to the collective nation of Israel.
Okay, so how did that address anything I said?
Zach, if I say Amerikaim holech, Amerikaim is a plural word, and holech is a singular verb. It makes perfect sense. Amerikaim holech lechof. Americans go to the beach.
Okay, can either of you steel man my position?
Yeah, you seem to have a problem with the fact that the prophet goes from referring to the servant as a he and now refers to the servant as a them.
Incorrect. That's completely wrong, and I've explained to you multiple times. But you talk over me and you mute me, so you have no idea what I'm saying. So no, I think you need to actually listen.
Maybe you need to be a better
I
communicator.
communicate fine. I just can't communicate when you mute me over and over again. So are you ready? Are you ready to listen?
I only had to mute you when you've overtalked me.
When you talked over me. So are you ready to listen? Yes or no?
Zach, this isn't your live. You don't get to dictate how the live goes. You can
Do you
behave
wanna
yourself
listen
like
to
you can behave yourself like a good boy, and you can be just better. You're the fact of the matter, you're not able to communicate yourself effectively is not my problem. Now stop being disrespectful, or I will drop you. Why can't the
Okay.
servant be referred to as a he and a them?
Because there's already a plural referent in the passage that it would be referring to.
My people.
That is the entire point that you have missed. Yes, the people would be the plural pronouns. It would be grammatically incoherent to
And
refer to the servant as a they out of nowhere with no justification when there's already a plural referent.
Well, there's plenty of justification because the servant is repeatedly referred to as the nation of Israel.
That is not a justification. That is merely opening up the possibility. You're gonna have to show why we're pursuing that explanation versus mine.
No, you're gonna have to give me a reason to think it's not Israel.
Oh my word! I just did.
You didn't.
I just did. You have to justify why we're choosing your explanation over mine.
Well,
you don't have to justify your
because mine's
explanation.
more parsimonious with the context of Deutero-Isaiah.
I just gave you an issue why it's not parsimonious.
What you said isn't an
with
issue.
Your statement by. Okay, so why are you talking over me? That's
So
crazy.
does the righteous remnant suffer? Did the righteous remnant suffer because of the sins of collective Israel?
Sure.
So there's nothing wrong with referring to the righteous remnant as a them and saying that they suffered because of the transgressions of my people.
Given the context, there is something wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with in regards to the context.
You're not going to ask me why?
You're more than welcome to give your
Israel
reason.
is constantly used as a collective.
Yeah,
Israel is constantly used as a collective.
The reason is because an unjustified switch from a singular to a plural would be grammatically incoherent. It would be grammatically incoherent if there's already a plural referent.
Fun fact, the prophet isn't bound to the rules of like saying, well, I've been using singular this whole time, so I have to remain consistent because that's what good writing would require. But the prophet doesn't have your standards, and the nation of Israel could be referred to in the singular and the plural. And if the prophet chooses to start referring to, at one point, refer to the servant as a they, even though they've been using a he, that's perfectly acceptable for him.
Okay, so let me ask you a question that will kind of point out what I'm saying. When he says they were punished, how do we know this is referring to the servant rather than the people?
Because, well, no, the servant is the people. That's your problem.
So when he says my people, he's saying myself.
Yeah, you realize that the righteous remnant is a member, are part of Israel. Israel, for the most majority, have sinned. There's also a righteous remnant within Israel who have not. And the righteous remnant within Israel, they suffer because of the transgressions of my people.
So is everybody in Israel part of that remnant?
No, that's why it's a remnant.
Okay, so they're the distinct. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the question: why, when he says people, is he referring? Or how do we know that they suffered?
Because
it's referring to the entirety of Israel.
Because the author of Deutero-Isaiah is
just
Jewish.
the remnant.
Because the author of Deutero-Isaiah is Jewish, therefore, when they say my people, they're referring to the people of Israel. And so far throughout the work of Deutero-Isaiah, the suffering servant is pictured as being the righteous remnant of Israel.
So you didn't answer the question I'm asking. Why do we think that the
I'm tired of you saying I don't answer your questions after I answer your questions. I'm over it. What a dishonest little shit. I didn't run. I kicked you out. There's a difference. And you can't use the whole run thing on me to make me feel like you have no clue what's going on, bro. You didn't even know that Lamo was in the plural. Sitting here pretend like you know what you're talking about. That was a bunch of circles and that was going nowhere. Yeah, he got rolled. I don't know what's so. Do I need to draw like a chart for these people? Is that what's going on here?
I think you need an example of two different verbs where Israel is being used with two verb forms. So like I'm looking up one right now where like Vayeru Ha'am et Adonai is Exodus 14:31. It's a singular verb, a singular noun Ha'am that is paired with a plural verb.
All right. I'll look for more examples like that. That'd be good. Moon, I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions and then we can get to the conversation. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah, I am.
Question number 2, what pronouns do you go by?
I'm a man, so he.
All right. And question number 3, are you a Christian or some sort of theist?
I'm a Christian.
All right. Which one of the 6 questions, well, really the first 5, because I'm tired of talking about questions 6 and 7 for the day. Which one of the first 5 questions would you like to give me an answer for?
Probably number 4 is the one I'm most inclined towards. Why should I be Christian?
Yeah, why should I be Christian?
Okay, so do you believe, let me just ask you this. Do you believe that Jesus at least existed?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're an atheist, I assume, or agnostic?
Atheist, agnostic, atheist.
Agnostic atheist. So what does that mean exactly?
Means I don't believe in a God, but I also don't know for sure if there is no God.
Okay. So so that means you reject that Jesus performed the miracles, right?
Yeah, I've not necessarily reject, it's just I'm not convinced that he did.
Okay. Well, similar to the records of him being a carpenter and him existing, there are records of the tomb being empty after he rose from the dead on Easter.
I don't believe he was buried in a tomb. Why should I think he was buried in a tomb?
Well, he got crucified and then there's records of that, of him.
The only records we have for a tomb are from the Gospels, and I do not trust the Gospels.
I don't think that's true, because there's women that during that time they didn't really acknowledge that women like had any authority, and they wouldn't have allowed them to give
That's not true.
It is.
Paul's letters mentions a woman who was an apostle. That's a woman with an authority.
There's no women apostles, I don't think.
That's not true. Paul mentions one. I think her name was Junia.
Junia. I'll have to do research on that, but they wouldn't have let women give their like account on what happened if it wasn't true.
What makes you think that?
Well, it was a different time back then. They didn't.
Women, you don't think if a woman was walking down the street and said, "By the way, I saw a man get stabbed by another man," you think they would have just rolled their eyes?
Definitely in that time, yeah.
Why? Why is your justification for that?
There's no justification for it. It's just that's the way it was back then.
No, I'm not going to believe that unless you can justify that.
Well, I think we all know that throughout human history, women until around like 100 years ago were treated as less than men.
And yeah, sure, but that doesn't mean that people just rolled their eyes when they reported events. I think what you're mistaking. I think what you're mistaking that is that in Jewish law, in a court of law setting, a woman's testimony was not given like the same status as a man's. But that doesn't mean like on a day-to-day basis that Jewish women's like just telling you something that happened were just excluded.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that, but women weren't able to vote.
But also this whole thing about women is irrelevant because that's only from the Gospels, and I told you already I don't trust the Gospels.
No, there is historical accounts of that happening.
Where?
There's I can't give you they're just historical accounts.
There's
like
nothing
similar to how
there's nothing about women discovering a tomb outside of the Gospels.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. I don't think that's true.
Paul doesn't even mention any women, nor does he mention a tomb in his writings. He only says that Jesus was buried, and then when he gives a list of people that Jesus appeared to, the first one he mentions is Peter. No Mary Magdalene, no women.
I'm not actually have to do my research on that one, but I guess if you reject that, then what about? Let me think. What should I go? Oh yeah, the Bible was written by it was written by 40 different people over 1,500 years. How is that possible without intervention of the Holy Spirit?
How is it possible for multiple people to write different books and then eventually those different books get collected together in one set?
But it's a linear story, and they had those. It is.
It's not.
What do you mean?
Who killed Goliath?
David.
Really? Are you sure it's not Elhanan? Like it says in 2 Samuel 21, verse 19?
Well, there's different translations of it.
Well, no, there's not. The
There's
original.
3 retellings of that story, by the way.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
How about
No, there's
what-
different translations of the Bible.
No, there's 3 different tellings of that story in Samuel.
Yeah, I'm talking about we were talking about the original Hebrew of the Hebrew Bible. We're not talking about translations. When you go back and you read the original Bible, there's a story about David in 1 Samuel 17 killing Goliath, but then in 2 Samuel chapter 21, it mentions a man named Elhanan, the Bethlehemite, who killed Goliath.
And well, there like Mary's name, we consider her to be Mary now. There's different translations and different ways that
David
people
in
used
Hebrew.
to say their names.
No, David in Hebrew is David, not Elhanan.
Okay. They must have had a different name for him then.
No, they didn't. No, Elhanan. Not only is it a different person, but the father is also mentioned. Elhanan's father is mentioned. And it's not Jesse. It's a different person altogether.
Isn't Elchanan one of the priests that David goes and visits in one of the stories?
Maybe it might just be like, John is a popular name. Maybe Elhanan was too. Either way, it's not David who kills Goliath in 2 Samuel 21. How about when Jesus was born? Was Jesus born during the reign of King Herod the Great?
Actually, I don't know.
You haven't read the Gospel of Matthew?
No, I have. I just don't remember. I'm trying to remember.
Here, let me open up the very first words of Matthew chapter 2. Matthew chapter 2 says, in the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea. So was Jesus born during the time of King Herod the Great?
If that's what the translation says, then yeah. Or
that's what the original Greek. That's what the original Greek says. Now, Luke chapter 2 says that Jesus was born in those days when a decree went out from Caesar Augustus and all the world was registered, and that this was the first registration that was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. So was Jesus born when Quirinius was governor of Syria?
I don't know, but you're only bringing up a few errors and like contradiction. It's not really a contradiction.
Oh, it is. It is because Quirinius did not serve as governor of Syria until 10 years after Herod was already dead. Jesus can't. It would be like saying it would be like someone wrote 2 different biographies about the Bible guy, and one biography says that I was born in 96 under Clinton, and another one says I was born in 2006 under Bush.
I think we're looking past the miracle of all the cross references that are correct. The 65,000.
That's not miraculous. The people who wrote the New Testament were aware of the Old Testament, correct?
Yeah.
So the fact that they have cross references with stuff from the Old Testament, like if I wrote my own fan fiction for Harry Potter, I could probably have a lot of cross references with the original Harry Potter books, right?
Well, yeah, but these people didn't interact with each other, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, which is why they contradict each other on parts of the story, like when Jesus was born.
They also don't.
Well, actually, you're kind of a little bit wrong, because the authors of Matthew and Luke, for example, are very much aware of the Gospel of Mark. In fact, they copy from the Gospel of Mark. We have whole sections of the Gospel of Matthew which are word for word identical with the Gospel of Mark, because the author of the Gospel of Matthew was copying from Mark.
What does that say? Like
when we look at the original Greek, it's the exact same.
It provides a timeline and a demonstration of what access to what texts were available. I would actually say that the gospel writers were actually not that aware of the Tanakh itself, but were probably more aware of things like the Book of Psalms and Proverbs.
Yeah,
that was really what they were deriving most of their midrash from.
But you're taking these few small things and you're blind to the miracle of. I don't know what else to say.
It's not miraculous. It's not miraculous. The fact that that some of those cross references are just things like this author mentions the city of Jerusalem And Jerusalem is found also in this section of the Old Testament. That's not miraculous. Like, you're thinking about that chart, right? Where it shows like the entire Bible and it shows all the story. A lot of those are just going to be things like what I just said. Jerusalem is mentioned here in the Gospel of Matthew. Well, there's a Jerusalem. Jerusalem's mentioned in the Old Testament, and that's one of the connections. That's not miraculous.
You don't think so?
No.
If an author
that just means that the city of Jerusalem was around when the authors of the Gospels wrote their work, or they knew about the city of Jerusalem, included it in their stories. And the city is very old, so of course it also appears in the Old Testament.
But if an author did that today, that would seem supernatural.
No, it wouldn't. If I wrote a story about King Arthur and I mentioned some of the cities from the old Arthurian legends, is that miraculous?
Well, no, but I'm gonna have to look that up. So some of the cross references are just of places, but what about the ones that are not?
Yeah, when we have I recently put out a video on this topic where the problem with using typology, that we know for a fact that the authors of the New Testament or the Gospels are in some instances just making shit up about Jesus in order to make Jesus look as if he's like correlating with some ideal in the Old Testament. For example, the author of the Gospel of John changes the day and time of Jesus's crucifixion from what the Synoptic Gospels say in order to make Jesus look as if he's dying at the same time and day as the Passover lambs.
Well, do you believe that the apostles at least existed?
Sure.
Are you aware that they all died in horrible deaths?
No, the majority of those stories are traditions that come about hundreds of years later. The only thing I would consider like first century records for the death of the apostles would be Peter and Paul mentioned in First Clement, and then James mentioned in Josephus's work, and that's it. And it doesn't even say how they died.
I'm gonna look that up. I'm pretty sure there's evidence.
There's not. Like, you got the Gospel according to Peter, which is a 2nd century work that mentions that Peter was walking back from the city of Rome when Jesus appeared, and Jesus was walking towards Rome, and Peter says, "Where are you going, my Lord?" He goes, "To be crucified again." And then Peter feels guilty and goes back to Rome. And then when he gets crucified by the Romans, he asks them, "Pretty please, don't crucify me the same way Jesus was. I'm not worthy." And so the Romans turn his cross upside down, because you know how like the Romans just love to accommodate the requests of their crucifixion victims. Like, it's a silly story.
I just looked it up. There is historical evidence that is outside of the Christian theology, like early church, or not early church, like early emperors and early like people that were ruling during that time acknowledges that those people died.
Christians died, not the apostles, it doesn't say.
No, the apostles.
What source besides the ones I already pointed out to you from the 1st century mentioned the death of the apostles?
Sources. 1st to 4th century church historians.
Name. Saint Grok.
No, I am looking it up, but I'm just saying I'm looking for the. Hold on. So they were proven to have seen Jesus. The apostles.
Sure, they walked with him.
Of Jesus, yeah. And then they proved it. And there's proof that they were martyred.
No. Well, I would concede that Peter and Paul and James Peter and Paul were definitely were probably martyred, but we don't know anything about the contents of their death. It only says that they died, and that's it.
Oh yeah, Polycarp, Tertullian, and
when did Polycarp live? Notice I asked you for 1st century.
hold on, Polycarp. Well, yeah, he lived first century. He was
No,
born
when
in
did he when did
690.
he write?
Well, throughout when did Polycarp write? He died in 155 AD.
So the second century. Oh, wait, that's 155. Yeah, that's like the second century.
He was born in the first. 110 through 120.
Yeah, okay, 110. That's the
What?
second century.
Wait.
But let's presuppose for a moment, just for funsies, all 12 of them were martyred or whatever. That still wouldn't demonstrate anything.
Well, if they were recorded to have seen Jesus, do you think that they would be martyred for something that they knew?
Oh, that's not the only option. It's not either Jesus rose again from the dead or they were lying. That's not the only options. There's another option, which is more likely than magic and resurrection.
Well, I don't think they would have been martyred if they.
No, there's a reason why there's a reason why they'd be martyred.
Why is that?
If they really believe that Jesus was resurrected, and a good reason why they would think that would be bereavement hallucinations and collective delusions, that's more than sufficient to explain why they'd be willing to die.
Well, I think that's pretty presumptuous. Saying I think that's a stretch.
No, it's not a stretch. We know that 30 to 60% of grieving individuals suffer from bereavement hallucinations. So the idea that Peter, for example, who was a close follower of of Jesus, who would have grieved him, would have hallucinated him, is more likely than magic being the answer.
I'm actually gonna look up how long after Jesus died how long Jesus died.
The sooner the better.
Yeah, so apostles 10 to 70 years after is when they got martyred.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. They just really were convicted by their mistaken understanding of what occurred.
But they walked with Jesus. They saw the miracles that he performed.
Whoa! Who says that they saw Jesus perform miracles?
Well, that's the entire point. If they didn't see that happen, then they wouldn't be willing to die.
Oh no! All that's required for them to be willing to die is to believe that Jesus was resurrected. It doesn't require them to believe that they saw a bunch of miracles besides the resurrection.
Well, I think they'd be more likely to also get martyred if they saw the miracles.
They're just as likely to get martyred. They're just as likely to get martyred if they think Jesus is resurrected, even if he's not. Without miracles.
People get martyred today for things that are absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
And martyr themselves.
You know what I mean? Like what? What do you
Waco? The Waco massacre.
There you go.
Massacre.
Seventh-day Adventist David Koresh. So I think like the issue is that first of all, you haven't established a timeline. You haven't established any sort of sense of this martyrdom that is based on text that is extra biblical or not early church discussion. And I think the issue is that it comes off as unfounded, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It comes off as doctrinal as opposed to historical.
Well, you got to take into account also that during Rome, during that time, the Roman people, they crucified him because he wasn't Jewish, right? So I think it's hard to see like
who wasn't Jewish?
Well, sorry, I misspoke. Jesus was Jewish, but I'm saying that like Jewish people believe that the Messiah is yet to come, and Jesus was, according to them, the fake like Messiah. So they crucified him for that reason. And his
followers thought, well, that's not why they crucified him. We don't know why they crucified him. We don't have any information on that. You can't crucify someone. I mean, if someone's going around claiming to be the Messiah, then you can have them crucified because that's treason under Rome. But we don't have a lot of information on the facts leading up to Jesus' crucifixion because all we have is the Gospels. And again, the Gospels are unreliable.
Well, they're saying Pontius Pilate ordered the crucifixion and it was treason against the state as well as blasphemy charges.
Well,
So
blasphemy against Judaism isn't going to get the Romans to crucify anyone.
They don't care. By the way, Moon, you're missing a crucial piece here. That none of this makes any sense while the temple is still standing.
What temple are you referring to? Which one?
The temple.
The Jewish temple in Jerusalem during Jesus' time.
None of this story makes any sense pre-100 CE.
Why?
Because the entire purpose of the story is that Jesus is this sacrifice, that it is through the sacrifice that the redemption comes, or that the prophecy or whatever is fulfilled. By the way, that doesn't actually, it's not really in the text, but the Christian story is that this that this crucifixion is the replacement for the sacrifice at the temple.
Yeah, I know. So
right. So why would you need a replacement for the temple sacrifice when the temple sacrifice is still happening?
Well, are you referring to like sheep, like sacrificing sheep?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he just died so that we didn't have to do that. I don't know what are you trying to prove? Like he died so that we didn't. That was his sacrifice for our sins. Is that so that we don't have to sacrifice sheep? That's what it was before Jesus. Is the whole point.
Is what? Yeah. So if they're still sacrificing sheep, why would people move away from that tradition?
Well, because Jesus is the Son of God and he came down and he claimed to be the Messiah, and he was.
No, he didn't fulfill the same. He can't be the Messiah. He didn't fulfill any prophecies. But to Rob's point, like, what's the point of like believing in Jesus if the temple's still up and you can just offer sacrifices at the temple?
Because he's the Son of God.
But he's not.
He is. He is in Christian theology.
I know you believe that, but we've got no good reason to think that. Especially since like literally everything the Messiah was supposed to do, the exact opposite happened in the first century. Messiah is supposed to bring world peace. Instead, the Jewish people get slaughtered by the Romans. Messiah is supposed to build the temple. Instead, temple gets destroyed. Messiah is supposed to gather in the exiles. Instead, the people of Israel are dispersed. Literally everything the Messiah is supposed to do, the exact opposite happened under Jesus.
He was a person that was walking around the streets. He was a man during that time. He couldn't have. What do you mean, like under Jesus? He wasn't ruling anything.
I agree, which is why he's also not the Messiah, because he's not a king.
What do you mean?
When
you said under Jesus, what do you mean? Like,
I'm saying that when the Messiah comes, according to the Hebrew Bible, there are a few things that are going to happen, including world peace, the building of the temple, and the end gathering of the exiles. And the exact opposite happened while Jesus was here. He's as far away from being the Messiah as anyone could possibly be. Am I debating AI now?
No, I was just looking it up because I didn't know what you were referring to. He fulfilled prophecies by minute. Yeah, he performed miracles and.
There's nothing in the Hebrew Bible that prophesies Messiah will perform miracles.
But do you think that if someone came down now and performed miracles in front of you, would you consider that person to be the Messiah?
No, because even the Torah says in Deuteronomy 13 that false prophets can perform miracles to deceive people.
So
what verse is that?
Deuteronomy 13. Do you know how to know if it's a false prophet or not, by the way?
How do you know?
You do know. How do you know? Deuteronomy 18 says that if the things that they say are going to happen don't happen, then you shouldn't be afraid because they're a false prophet.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know what you should do to people who don't, who say things presumptuously in God's name, and then they don't happen?
Yeah. What?
They're put to death.
Listen to this prophecy given by Jesus. Let's see if this came to pass. For the Son of Man is to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay everyone for what has been done. Truly, I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Is everyone From the first century dead?
Who will not see death before. Wait. Where is that? Let me look. I need to read that. I'm better at looking at it.
Matthew 16, 27 through 28.
16.
For the Son of Man, who's the Son of Man?
Read full chapter.
Who's the Son of Man?
The Son of Man. I don't. The Son of God is Jesus, but I don't want to be like
The Son of Man.
heretical.
The Son of Man is Jesus. Jesus refers to himself as the Son of Man throughout the Gospels. For the Son of Man is to come with his angels in the glory of the Father. That's referring to the second coming, right?
Yeah.
And then he will repay everyone for what has been done. And then listen to what he says right after that. Truly I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. That was 2,000 years ago. Is there anyone? Did they all die?
I'm not seeing this. I'm on Matthew 16,
27 through 28.
27 through 28.
Here, look at your screen. I'll show you myself.
Whoever wants to. Yeah. Okay.
Look.
Which version of the Bible is this?
New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. It's the most scholarly translation out there you can possibly get your hands on. For the Son of Man is to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay everyone for what has been done. Truly I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Now, how long ago was this?
2,000 years ago.
Is there anyone alive from 2,000 years ago today?
Well, no, but I think he means it in the second, because Christians believe that like people are alive in heaven.
No, the people in heaven have tasted death. That's how they get to heaven.
Well, I think he's being metaphorical.
No, he's not.
I'd have to. Well,
the only metaphor here being used is the word taste. Tasting is a metaphor for participating in something. So they will not participate in death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. But everyone from that time period is dead, and Jesus did not return. Therefore, by the declarations given to us by the book of Deuteronomy, Jesus would be a false prophet.
Well, he also, in John 6:53, I remember it because he's talking about baptism. He says, "Unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you."
That's just about the Eucharist. That has nothing to do with what's being talked. That has nothing to do with what's being talked about right now.
No, I know, but I'm drawing the parallel. He says no life in you. Those people are obviously alive, right? He means no life in the sense that they are not like spiritually alive, is what he's saying. So when he says you will not taste death, he means that they will be alive in the spirit.
No, it means they won't die. There's nothing there's nothing in the immediate context to have. You can make an argument for John 6 because of the words found there in John 6. But yeah, exactly, Jake. This is just you're just coping with the fact that yes, it is cope. You're just coping with the fact that the Bible doesn't say what you want it to say. You're just renegotiating and recontextualizing the Bible in order to fit some dogma that you hold to, but the Bible doesn't support your dogma.
No life in you. Those people are obviously alive. I don't understand.
We're not talking about John. We're not talking about John 6.
No, I'm drawing the parallel that he's talking metaphorically.
Well, no, you need to show me where in Matthew 16 it makes it clear that the death being referred to is spiritual death.
Well, there's no context in John 6 that says it's spiritual.
No, it does. The entire context of John chapter 6 talks about eating his flesh, which is obviously referring not to cannibalism, right?
Well, it's not.
Okay. Is there anything in the text of Matthew 16 which would lead us to believe that the tasting of death is referring to spiritual death? Or is this something you just have to assume? Because if you don't assume it, then it means Jesus declared false prophecy.
I'm gonna read it again. Those who want to save their life. He says, "Who lose their life for my sake will find it," meaning find life.
Yeah, referring to martyrdom, dying, being willing to physically die, and you retain eternal life as a result. So in that case, and so it's still physical death, not metaphorical death.
But he said, "We'll find it," referring to
find
death.
To life. No, we'll find life.
Life. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, the life there is referring to eternal life. The death is referring to physical martyrdom.
I know.
So
being eternal life is spiritual.
No, the life is spiritual. The death is physical. If you lose your life, as in if you're willing to die for Christianity, then you will find your life, your eternal life. This is about
eternal life.
Yeah, so this is about physical death, followed by a spiritual life. So in other words, the death mentioned in verse 28 is also physical death.
Well, taste death before they see the sun. Why is that physical?
Because there's nothing in the text that leads us to believe it's not physical. And the reference to death in the previous passage you mentioned to us is also physical death.
But eternal life being it, he can also be talking about eternal death.
No, those who lose their life will find it. In other words, martyrs get to go to heaven.
That's what I'm saying. Eternal life is spiritual. The people that died in the flesh get to have it. Wait, you're missing my point. I'm saying
you don't understand your own point. Spiritual death in Christian theology, spiritual death refers to going to hell. So is Jesus saying Jesus is saying that if you go to hell, you'll go to heaven?
No, he says if you die in the flesh, then you will gain eternal life. Basically.
It doesn't say that.
Right?
It doesn't say that. It says those who lose their life for my sake will find it. It's about being willing to be martyred. You know what martyrdom is?
Yes, I do. It's dying for the faith.
Yeah. It's about physically dying.
Fine.
And when you physically die, then you get to go to heaven. Because those in Christian theology, if you experience spiritual death, you don't get to go to heaven.
I know we're saying the same thing.
No,
you asked me to find a spiritual context.
This isn't spiritual. This is physical death.
He's dying. Okay, we're saying the same thing. You asked me to give a spiritual context.
This is not spiritual. A spiritual context. This actually helps my position because the death in these previous verses is physical, so the death in the later verse is also physical.
But the life in that verse is
I don't care about the life. We're talking about the death. We're not talking about the life. We're talking about the death.
We can't tell if who will taste death is spiritual or physical.
It's physical, according to the context.
We can't. No, that's what I'm saying. Find it. Will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming into his kingdom.
This is the hardest amount of coping I've ever had to deal with. It's yes, Moonbeam, you're coping hard. Maybe try again. Give us another way that for another reason why I should be a Christian, because this isn't it, bud. You're pushing me further and further away from Christianity every time you display your ignorance.
Okay, I'll give you. Okay, we'll move on because this is just circular. What about the Eucharistic miracles?
I've never had any scientifically verified Eucharistic miracle. Only hearsay.
Okay, look up the University of Chicago.
Well, no, Eucharistic miracles are like transubstantiation, but in transubstantiation, only the substance of the Eucharist changes into the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus. Under a Eucharistic miracle, the claim is that not only does the substance, but the accidents, the physical thing itself, changes into flesh and blood. And do you have any scientifically peer-reviewed papers that demonstrate that this was in fact bread and it became flesh?
Also, doesn't this completely undermine so many Torah laws?
It does. Well, as long as you don't eat the Eucharist once it's accidentally changed, as long as it's substantially changed, somehow it's
even if you touch it.
Oh yeah, but they don't care about the Torah.
Yeah, I'll look it up. It's the University But it also depends on what like denomination like you are. It because like Protestants they don't believe in the.
No, it doesn't matter what denomination you belong to. All I'm asking for is scientific evidence. Like the scientists need to have evidence, verifiable evidence that this thing was once bred in blood, not just hearsay, not just people making the claim that it was, but actual physical evidence that it was bred and now it is flesh and blood.
Well, that's the definition of a miracle.
Are you saying that there's no evidence?
No, I'm not saying that. Doctors, do you realize that they sent
some flesh and blood samples to a lab, but how do we know those flesh and blood samples were once bred? I have a lot of I have a lot of examples of Christians doing hoaxes in order to fake miracles. I'm more inclined to believe in a hoax over magic. I would need to see we would need to have scientifically verified that this was once bred and now is flesh and blood. Not just hearsay and well, I'm telling you, trust me, bro, it was bred and now it isn't. It's not good enough.
Well, you do realize for like the Catholic Church to define something as a miracle, it has to be extensively tested. Like they don't just define anything as a miracle.
Fun fact: like the Catholic Church are Catholic, and I don't necessarily trust them to be objective on this. I need independent scientific verification.
That's what I'm trying to say. That before they declare something to be a miracle, they send it in for scientific testing. For it to be defined as a miracle because they are aware that people...
Did the scientists confirm that this was once bred?
Yes. Well, yes, I think so. Hold on.
Yeah, show that.
I'm forgetting the university. It was Dr. Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember it. He saw that it was flesh that was it was cardiovascular flesh that
I'm aware that it's cardiovascular flesh. I'm asking, was the scientist able to verify scientifically that this used to be bred?
Well, during their mass, you know what happens at mass, right?
I know the stories that are told about what this used to be, but what is the evidence that this isn't just people lying? Because I have tons of examples of Christians lying about miracles.
No, I'm aware that happened.
So so in other words, I'm going to be more likely to believe that someone's lying as opposed to magic occurred. And if you want me to believe that magic occurred, you're going to have to provide me some evidence, scientifically way of verifying that this flesh sample used to be bred.
Well, there's no way of doing that because it's a miracle.
Then it's not going to convince me to be a Christian.
So do you need evidence of everything to believe it?
The greater the acclaim is, the greater the amount of evidence I need for it. If you say something as simple as, I bought a dog today, well, I do have evidence that dogs exist. I do have evidence that people exist. And I do have evidence that people own dogs. In fact, I own dogs. So that's not really all that extraordinary. Therefore, I wouldn't need as much evidence for that claim. But if you said, I own a pet unicorn, well, I don't know unicorns exist. So the level of evidence that I would need for that claim would be greater. As the great Carl Sagan once said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So when it comes to supernatural claims, yes, I hold this same standard, regardless of whether or not it's a Christian making the claim, a Muslim, Hindu, I don't care.
Well, for something to be supernatural, it's otherworldly, meaning that there's not gonna, it's out of this world. Basically.
Sounds like y'all's problem, not mine. If God wants to convince me that Christianity is true, then surely here, does God want me to be convinced?
Well, he gives the people free will. Obviously, he loves me.
I didn't ask about free will. I asked, does he want me convinced?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, because it says in the New Testament that God desires for all to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. Is God all knowing?
Exactly. Yes.
So does he know exactly what it would take to convince me without infringing on my free will?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Is he all powerful?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, God wants me to be saved. He knows exactly what it would take, and he's powerful enough to do it. So why am I not a Christian?
It goes back to the free will. It's because
nope, doesn't matter.
Because if everybody, so like
free
if
will
the
doesn't
baseline,
free will doesn't matter because I already told you. I asked you. The second premise was if God is all knowing, then he knows how to convince me without infringing on my free will. And beliefs.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Moon, are you actively choosing to be Christian, or is it something that is naturally as a part of your sort of existence? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you're asking Dalton to have the free will to choose, are you actively choosing to be Christian? Like, could you choose to not be Christian?
well, I could, yeah, but it's kind of both of what you said.
I don't think that's true, though. Beliefs aren't choices.
I was an atheist at one point, and then I did my research.
Yes, and you were convinced of Christianity, and as a result, you believed. You didn't just choose to believe, though. You had to be convinced first, because beliefs aren't choices.
Well, you can still be convinced of something and then reject it.
Was the last hour the fruits of that research?
Okay, well, you guys are. This is it. All these questions that you guys are asking me are being posed in a way that it disproves the faiths.
Yes.
They're like you're asking. Yes, you're asking the questions. It's similar to the did you tell your parents you did drugs? Right? Like
no.
There's no way to answer it yes or no.
That's not it. No. If you're honest, if your beliefs comport with the truth and the reality, then you should be able to just answer my questions, no problem. Because I'm not asking questions that are inescapable as long as what you're saying is true. Like the fact that you don't beliefs, what you believe or what you don't believe, that's not something you choose of your own free volition. You're either convinced that something is true, in which case you will just automatically believe. You can say you don't believe it, you'll just be lying to yourself and to others, but you will actually believe. Or you're unconvinced, in which case you won't believe. Now, God is all-knowing. He knows what to do to convince me without infringing upon some free will that you think I have, because he's all-knowing. So why am I not a Christian?
Say that again. So you're saying
God wants me to believe. He knows what it would take, and he's smart enough to figure it out without infringing on my free will. Or is he not smart enough to do that?
Well, that in and of itself would infringe on your free will if he were to do something against your will to make you.
No. All he would have to do is give me good evidence, and I would automatically believe, because that's how belief works.
But you have to choose the faith.
No, you don't. You can't choose faith.
What are you talking about, bro?
Here, I'll show you why you cannot choose your beliefs.
Okay.
I want you to turn your camera on, and I want you to sit in a chair that isn't actually there, but I want you to choose to believe the chair is actually there. I want you to sit down in that chair and lay back and relax in the chair that isn't there, but you believe is there because you're choosing to believe it's there.
Well, the chair is not there.
But you can. But if you can choose your beliefs, then you should be able to just choose to believe the chair is there.
Well, you can't choose. It can't be. You can't bring something into an existence based off of a belief.
But you can. But you can believe it's there.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's there if I believe.
I know, but you can choose to believe, right?
Well, you can, but it doesn't mean that it's there. Then do it.
Yeah, I know. Do it. Choose to believe the chair's there and sit down and relax in it. It doesn't matter if it's not there.
What is your claim? I don't understand.
No, it doesn't matter whether or not it's not really there. Because if you choose to believe it, then you'll really believe that it's there.
Well, if I choose to believe that it's there, I'll believe that it's there. But that doesn't.
And then okay, do it then.
What do you?
Go ahead and sit down in the non-existent chair that you believe is there.
Well, I can't.
No, you can't. Why not?
It's not there. What are you
no. You keep. The problem is you're an unbeliever. You need to believe the chair is there. You need to choose to believe it.
Are you trying to make the parallel that the chair is God and you?
Yeah, no one
What you're trying to get at?
I can't choose. That's the problem. Is you're hitting on the point exactly. You refuse to do this action because deep down you know that you can't choose to believe the chair is there because you're not convinced there's a chair there. Beliefs are not things that we choose. We're either convinced that something is true, in which case we'll believe it, or in your case, you're not convinced that the chair is there, therefore you can't believe the chair is there. In the same way, I can't believe in Jesus because I'm not convinced. So apparently I'm going to go to hell for eternity for something that I have no control over.
Well, you have to understand that what Jesus did on the cross was not to condemn people that don't believe in him. He was trying to save people.
I don't believe that though. I don't believe
Jesus'
Jesus.
death.
I don't believe that Jesus's death was a sacrifice. It was just an execution by the Romans. I can't believe in Jesus' sacrifice if I'm not convinced that he was sacrificed in the first place.
Well, I understand that, but I can say it in another way other than free will. So if he convinced everybody that Jesus was the way, right? If the Father convinced everyone that Jesus was the way, then the baseline were to be that Jesus is the way, which would be a law. So that means that everyone would believe that Jesus was the way, right?
Uh-huh.
So then that wouldn't be free will.
Well, luckily the Bible never says anything about free will, and it's not biblical.
Free will.
The only time free will is mentioned in the Bible is free will offerings.
Well, like it doesn't mention the Trinity, and that's dogma.
And the Trinity is not biblical either, and I don't believe in it. Even if I was a Christian, I wouldn't believe in it.
Well, just because it doesn't say the word Trinity doesn't mean that it's
the concept isn't there. Concept's not biblical.
As well as like purgatory and stuff.
By the way, I'm ex-Catholic. You are aware. I am aware of the dogmas of the Catholic Church, and these dogmas are post-biblical philosophical innovations. The Bible does not teach the Trinity. It does not teach free will. It does teach, however, that if you don't believe in Jesus, that you will spend an eternity in hell. And sadly, belief in Jesus and Christianity is not something I have any control over. So I'm being sent to hell for something I didn't choose to do.
You're missing the point. You're not getting sent to hell. If you choose in Jesus,
I can't choose Jesus. I can't accept it because I'm not convinced. I physically cannot believe in it. It's impossible unless I'm convinced. And sadly, God and his Christians are not doing a very good job of convincing me. They're not able to bring me evidence. So it's really it's God's fault if I end up in hell.
Jesus, the whole point is Jesus is saving you from hell. The baseline was hell.
But in order to be saved by Jesus, I have to believe in him, right?
Yes.
And belief is not something I have any control over.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm being sent to hell for something I had no control over, and it's all God's fault.
Well, you can choose to reject evidence.
No.
Yeah. Well,
not if it's good evidence, because something is convincing to you, regardless of what you want.
Yeah.
So if I had good evidence proposed to me, my brain would automatically accept it because that's how beliefs work.
Well, if you're looking for a way, like if you're only looking at evidence, it kind of just depends. Like, have you heard the phrase where it's like you can't really convince someone of, or like you're not going to be able to change someone's mind? I forgot exactly how it goes. Like, if
that's not true. I change people's minds all the time.
I know, but if you're doing research in a way that you're trying to, like, if you're trying to reinforce what you believe in, you're gonna have a
I'm
closed
not.
mind to the other side.
I'm not. I've been asking Christians to give me evidence for their beliefs, and sadly, y'all just aren't very good at it. I'm not hard-hardened. I'm not obstinate. I want to believe as many true things as possible, and if it turns out Christianity is true, then I want to believe it. But sadly, there's not any good evidence for Christianity.
Okay. Will you go to someone that knows more about it than me, because you're debating people on TikTok? Like, I'm just a random guy, right? Like,
I'm not going to waste my time. I've already done the research. I've already done the work. Now's the time. I've gone to priests. I've gone to seminarians. I've gone to scholars. They don't have better answers than you do.
But why don't you go and you talk to a priest about this stuff?
I'm an ex-Catholic.
Okay. And you were asking, what did you, like...
I asked all the hard questions, and they gave no better arguments than you do, bud.
Well, I don't really know how to say it. It's like, you're like similar to me. Like, I'm gonna be less likely to accept, because I'm already a Christian. I'm gonna be less likely to accept that Christianity is not true, even if you were to give evidence.
But I was a Christian, and I heard the evidence against the Bible, and I changed my mind. So my mind is readily able to be changed based on evidence.
But it's just harder to be changed, because if you go into something with a bias, you're going to be less likely
the only bias I have is that I have a bias towards things that are true.
But like, I don't know, like, for something to be okay, what do you believe that something to be like? What do you believe when something is true? Because there's a difference between a law.
Truth means something that comports to reality.
Comports to reality. Okay. So do you believe that gravity is true?
Yep, because because it's real in reality and we can demonstrate it.
Okay. Well, gravity is, at the end of the day, a theory. Everything in science is theoretical.
Do you think atoms exist?
What the fuck?
Well, yeah, I think they exist.
That's called atomic theory. Do you think germs cause disease?
Yes.
That's called germ theory of disease. Theory doesn't mean what you think it means. What do you think theory means in science? Because there's the way you use theory in a day-to-day setting, but then there's a way that the word theory is used in a scientific setting, and they're not the same.
Yeah. So a scientific setting would be for like let's use the theory of gravity. Like, there is significant evidence, like, reinforcing the idea of gravity, so that thing is defined as a theory. But like, for something to be law, it means that thing cannot be disproven.
No, theories don't become laws in science. That's not how that works. There is currently, right now, a law of gravity and a theory of gravity, and they coexist together. Gravity is a fact. The law of gravity describes the way that gravity functions, the description of gravity. Gravitational theory is the explanation for how gravity works. Theories do not become laws, and laws do not become theories. Theories and laws are two separate things in science that serve different functions.
Well, the law, like, something that would be law would be like the laws of logic and the laws of mathematics.
That's different. When we say law in science, we're just talking about, these are descriptors, or we're just describing the way that the universe works. They're not laws like legislative laws.
No, I understand that. So a law in science would be that thing is like, it's not a theory. It's 100% true. Like, if I were to say that, like,
are you under the apprehension that something is a theory and then it becomes a law once it's proven to be true? That's not how it works.
No, I'm just saying that the only two things that are law are math and logic.
If something is a scientific theory, that is the graduation point of an idea in science. If theories were houses, facts would be the bricks that make up the house. But all this is irrelevant to whether or not I should be a Christian.
No, I'm getting to the. This is tying into like what I'm about to ask you. But you're being very stubborn. So it's like,
I'm not stubborn.
I'm gonna actually look it up, like the actual textbook definition. Law. Difference
Don't
between
confuse arrogance with being right.
For something to be, I'll just say it without looking it up. For something to be law, like for example, 2 + 2 is equal to 4. That is a law. If I were to say that, like,
That's a law in science. No, it's not.
it's a law, it's the only thing that is truly law is mathematics and logic.
I don't think you know how the word law means. Let's just stop talking about science, because I do not think you're educated enough on the scientific topic to be talking about it.
I've actually done a lot of research on this. You're not getting what I'm saying. Because if I were to say the laws of logic would be like,
the laws of logic laws of logic are just descriptions of the patterns in the universe. That's all.
That's what law is.
Can I, Moon? A hypothesis is what you're thinking of as colloquially referred to as a theory. The idea of a theory is something that is a body of evidence so vast and so confirmed and so tested and peer-reviewed that in order to deviate from this theory, it would require earth-shattering evidence to the contrary of what is known and understood already. You are conflating the idea of theory with like shower thoughts, when in reality theory is the product of the scientific process. It does not get any more ironclad than theory.
Now,
But doesn't mean that.
What does this have to do with why I should be a Christian?
I'm saying, like, for something, like, for you to believe something to be true, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
I need evidence for it.
Exactly.
By the way, Moon, I have a great Venn diagram that I created for this. Faith is the lowest possible tier. It is belief without any justification for the belief. It is belief without any evidence. The intersection between faith and knowledge is belief. So belief is this thing that people hold to, whether they have any evidence for it or whether they have what they call evidence for it. Then knowledge is the intersection between belief and understanding, because people can believe things that they know to be true even though they're completely wrong. In other words, people quote unquote know that the earth is flat even though they're completely wrong. People knew that it was acceptable to own other human beings as property. Those were beliefs that were rooted in wrong information and called knowledge. But the other side of that is understanding, which is epistemic humility, the humility to know that this is my best understanding given the information that I have. This is what a theory is. It is the idea of compiled evidence and tested and understood. And then knowledge, the intersection between understanding is the intersection between knowledge and wisdom, which is the application. And unfortunately, you are in the lowest possible tier of this. You are in a system of faith that requires no questioning, no knowledge, no understanding, and certainly no wisdom.
Well, yes, I have faith in Christ, that I believe in Jesus because of X, Y, and Z.
And faith is useless.
Exactly. It requires no understanding whatsoever. You don't have to understand anything because you have this faith, and that's it. Like, there's actually no reason for you to have this conversation because you're not actually bringing anything to the table of any value. In fact, you even said it yourself. You're not the person to have this conversation. You're not that guy.
Well, you said at the very beginning of that diagram, you said that faith is like it's blindly believing. Maybe I misunderstood you. Well, I'm believing based off of evidence, so I don't think that'd be like the lowest.
Now I would say that it's not faith; it's just a confidence, and but the problem is that I just don't think that your standard of evidence is all that good. If I used your standard of evidence, I would believe in all kinds of things. But I am a kind of person who I want to believe only true things, and in order to make sure I don't end up believing in false things that I get duped into, I need high confidence based on good evidence, especially if those claims are really crazy or extreme.
Well, Okay. You believe in certain things because of the evidence that is presented towards you, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
The verifiability and the falsifiability of the evidence. You have only presented a claim.
But that doesn't mean that it's not true.
And
Sure.
by the way, the
Doesn't
claim is in contradiction to the first half of the claim, which is like the hilarious part.
you're right that
How is
it.
that
You're right,
contradictory?
by the way, that it doesn't mean it's not true, but it does mean that I'm not justified if I were to believe in it. And also, it also means that if I end up in hell, again, it's for something that I had no control over. And your God would be an unjust dick if I ended up burning in hell for something I could not control.
Moon, the thing that I don't understand the most about this whole Jesus as Messiah thing is that Jesus is not related to King David, that Jesus is not anointed by a prophet, that Jesus didn't do any of the things that a Jewish Messiah would be expected to do. And so the notion that the Christian Bible is even written or presented at all as a solution for this messianic figure, even within the Christian text, it completely is anathema to or against the its first half. It doesn't make any sense. I am literally atheist to the Christian theology. I have no idea what is going on in Christianity because it just doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Let me just really quickly to you. If you look at the genealogy of Matthew 1, that puts Joseph at the bottom of, like, I will grant you Joseph being the descendant of King David. Doesn't cost me anything, because when you get to Joseph, it pivots away from Joseph's lineage and says that Mary is the mother of Jesus and not Joseph as the father. And so immediately it departs from King David's lineage. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
who's reading this and is like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Well, you got to understand that Joseph is not he's not the biological father of Jesus.
I know, that's the problem.
That's the whole problem. You cannot inherit tribal lineage through adoption in Judaism. It does not exist.
No, the
It's not a thing.
entire notion is that Mary is the vessel of Jesus, right?
Okay.
But it doesn't matter because
the
tribal
Virgin
lineage
Mary.
comes through the father.
Moon,
Tribal lineage comes through the father.
Are you aware that in order to be the Messiah, according to the Hebrew Bible, you have to be a descendant from King David?
Through your father's line.
Yeah.
I am not aware of that, but I'll do the research on that.
And if
Numbers
Jesus
chapter
isn't
1,
that,
verse 2.
Yep. And if Jesus isn't that, he's not the Messiah. When I was a Christian, when I was a Christian, I wanted to be an evangelist to the Jewish people. I wanted to bring Jewish people to Jesus. In fact, I don't know if you were here for this, Rav, but I actually have somewhere in this baggie of my Catholic goodie bag. There it is. I have this little Star of David with a cross in it.
Oh man, that's gross.
Yeah. And I wanted to convince Jewish people to believe in Jesus. And you know what ended up happening?
What?
I heard the arguments that the rabbis would make, and it turned out they were just right. That the only way that you can make Jesus the Messiah is if you take Old Testament verses and you mistranslate them or you take them out of context. And when I learned Hebrew and I read the Old Testament in its context, it became quite obvious and clear that Jesus wasn't the Messiah. And as such, I am unconvinced.
Well, this is according to Jewish.
This is according to what the original Hebrew Bible says, because I didn't just take the rabbi's word for it. I went and did the research, and they were correct. But it's been an hour and 4 minutes, and I need to go walk my dogs, and I still have some super chats to read. But you're more than welcome to call back in. We will be live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right?
All right. I hope you have a good Friday and good Easter, man.
Oh yeah,
Bless
well,
you.
and hey, check us out on Sunday because we will be debating the Catholic Answers AI Justin on the resurrection of Jesus.
I will. I'll see it. All right. Have a good day, guys.
You're good. All right. Say what, Ralph?
I discovered something recently that I wanted to run by you about Esther being a hidden Messiah and being connected to Saul.
Oh,
Saul's
really?
line.
I do have to get through.
Save it.
Yeah,
Save it.
Save it for the next time you come up. That way we can talk about it because I got to hurry up and get these dogs out because they've been waiting since noon for the past 3 hours to go use the restroom. So, real quick, I'm going to read these super chats.
It's the very good wizard with the $2. No King Shane, but why Yahweh so obsessed with foreskins?
I like to sometimes say that foreskins are to Yahweh as garlic is to vampires, and that's why he gets rid of all the foreskins so that and you can that way he can come near. And when Moses was about to be attacked by Yahweh, the best defense was to throw a foreskin out. And yeah, so that's just some lore I've made up.
See, Anna, add Emery Kitman with the 110 Turkish lira. Aren't 1 and 5 on the list? Same thing, basically. They maybe combine them and add another one question. What do you think? 1 and 5?
1 and 5 aren't necessarily the same thing because number 5 is not just about messianic prophecy, but about prophecy in general. So, like, for example, Isaiah 52 verse 1 isn't about the Messiah, but I would think it's like not fulfilled prophecy. So that's why I have them separate. But I appreciate the check on me there, Emery. And then
at Juno Boy Toy with the $10. Ask these dummies to choose to believe they are on fire right now. If they don't, instantly start screaming and leave it, call it's bull.
It's a bit more extreme, but it's almost basically the same thing that I do. But that is really funny. And then
Juno's Boy Toy again with the $10. It's not hard. God revealed himself. If God revealing himself to everyone is convinced he exists, doesn't violate free will, then people can make the choice to follow him or not.
Yeah, especially if you're Catholic and you believe in the mythology of Lucifer, which isn't biblical, but if you believe the mythology of Lucifer, that Lucifer was literally standing before God, knew who God was, and all that jazz. These super chats a bit cover my face a little bit. In that case, and Lucifer still chose to rebel against God. In that case, like, yeah, I would just like you can just choose not to follow him, I guess, and still believe that he exists. We at least then we would have what I would call informed consent.
And then add a very good wizard with the $2. Not to King Shane, but did Jesus have a thing for feet?
Is this because of the fact that he's be washing them feet? Really, that's just a sign of respect and that's nothing servants would do. And so the author of the gospel is trying to portray Jesus as like a servant to all, because it says in the gospels, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. So using a typical, yeah.
Abraham in Genesis 18.
Yeah, Genesis 18 for Abraham, hospitality. That's a good that's exactly right. Yeah, I like that. But you know, if you, for your own personal lore, if you want to believe Jesus was a foot guy, go for it.
And then at Rostaman show with the $5. Dalton, did you used to love Jay Sukalo and Jews for Jesus? The ACLJ is such a joke. Love ya, Texas homie.
Ooh, that name sounds familiar. Jay Sukalo. Let me take a look. Jay Sukalo.
I think it's pronounced Sukalov, by the way.
I don't know this person. The people I was most familiar with in the Jews for Jesus organization were people like Dr. Michael Brown and Dr. David H. Stern, who wrote the Complete Jewish Bible, and then a lot of different people from the Hebrew Roots movement. So I'm not quite familiar with Jay Sukalov. Sokolov. I do remember that one fella. What was his name? The one who was he went by Tuvia Zaretsky, but that wasn't his real name. He made his name Jewish. He was a Jewish guy, but he didn't have a very Jewish name. But when he did the Jews for Jesus organization, he gave himself the name Tuvia Zaretsky, so that he sounded more Jewish when he was evangelizing to Jewish people, which is like so dishonest. It's like the Orthodox Jewish Bible, basically, that I showed you. You know, making very Yiddish, and then therefore it will attract Jewish people. You can thank Paul for that, because Paul says, "I became all things to all people," and for some reason, these individuals think that means, I should like put a thin layer of Judaism over my Christianity to make it more appealing to Jews. No, don't do that. That's gross. Yeah. Why do atheists care so much if we believe in God? Because it's what you do with that. But it's not just belief in God in general. If you were just a deist or just believing in God, I wouldn't care. But Christian conservatives, especially in America, vote, and they vote against the interest of the people. So that's why I care. All right, what was I gonna do? Okay, who can? Oh yeah, let's see. I think Godless Engineer said he was going to go live. I was only going to go live for 2 hours, but then that call came up, and I just couldn't pull myself away. So let's see.
How do you know Kevin?
Oh, is Godless live right now? Yes, he is. So everyone go over to Godless Engineer on YouTube and TikTok. Tell him that the Bible guy sent you. Rabbi, thank you for coming up and joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with that, I've been the Bible guy. We'll be live again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And remember to keep reading, keep learning, and we'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye.
Born from dust and questioning fire, wielding truth like a sword of desire. Ancient scrolls and cosmic flame, he tears through myth, he breaks the chain. Echoes of prophets, the scars align, knowledge and thunder intertwine. Reason ascends where blind faith